Call 1-833-7-ROCKET, equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
This hour of Chiefs coverage on 610 Sports Radio, brought to you by Topsy's.
This holiday season, give a gift beyond compare. Topsy's popcorn is great for game time snacking, holiday parties, or is a perfect anytime treat. Visit Topsy'sPopcorn.com or one of our stores today. Topsy's Popcorn. It's the good stuff.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Your home for the Big 12 champion, Kansas State Wildcats. 610 Sports Radio, KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, and Odyssey Station.
Today, on a very special edition of Cody in Gold, we find out how cold it's going to be, and we find out that Alex is retiring for the holiday season. And now two guys who are excited to get the show underway, Cody Tapp and Alex Gold.
Are you retiring?
I according to Jed, I am for the rest of the year.
You just
holiday
decided
season.
A little bit of snow, and you're like, I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah, I guess so, man. It worked out. I would be lying if I told you I didn't appreciate the timing of happening to be already off Thursday and Friday, considering the forecast in the Kansas City area. The fact that I don't have to go outside over the next couple of days. I am looking forward to that. I think, you know what? I think you should just take the Comrex home. You should do the show from your house, and that way you don't have to come in either.
What about Dusty and Jed, who might still have to come into work?
Well, Jed said he doesn't have any problem with the cold weather. He's actually a big fan of it.
Yep.
So
Love the cold.
see, I think you're good, man. But no, it's that time of the year where people, everybody's off different times. You're off next week and all that. So just kind of, this is the time of the year people are making plans. Holiday season, right, Jed?
Definitely the holiday season.
Definitely
Jed
the
gets
holiday
married
season.
this week.
He does, which I'm surprised you're still working today, man. I would have been like, I'm taking the whole damn week off. I got things to do. I got things to prepare for. That's what I would have been doing if I were you.
The fiance is smarter than me, clearly. Well, obviously not. If she's marrying me, I guess would be the actual answer.
That's not a great sign for her.
No, it doesn't seem strong on her part. I guess the point is she's at least working from home today and has Thursday and Friday off. I didn't realize that we were going to be getting married so quickly in short order. So that's why I didn't take the time off.
So now you got to work on your wedding day.
Yep.
You're working in the lead up to getting married now.
Yup. I can't wear a hat
You
that
wanted
day.
to drag out the engagement for a while, is
I
what
did
you're
not.
saying.
I did not.
You said you didn't. No, you didn't expect to getting married this quickly.
He thought they'd get married quickly, just maybe not that quickly.
I guess.
I don't even know how to answer this question. How did we get to this? How about the sports balls, guys? Have you seen any of those?
I like talking about you getting married. Maybe we
All
can
right,
convince
let's do it.
people to like Venmo you some wedding money or
I'm
something.
fine with that. I need
What's your Venmo?
I'm not giving that out.
Why? Let's
I
get
mean-
you like $50, $60.
I somehow doubt, based off what I've seen
What would
since
be
I've
the
been
issue
filling
with-
in,
People
I don't
have given
think
us money
anyone's
plenty of
giving me
times on
money.
this show.
I don't know what the issue would be with someone having your Venmo. It's not like you're giving. Like, what is the downfall? All they can do is send you money, right? I mean, that's
Or look at previous transactions.
you can make. That
Oh, I
private.
make those are private.
Yeah,
those
that-
are all private on
Mine
mine.
are private,
I
but
don't
I'm
un-
sure that someone's going to be able to find a way to hack it.
What are you buying that is?
I don't know why people
So
leave
sketchy.
their
None of your
Venmo,
business.
their Venmo, their Venmo history public. Yeah, what? Make that private. We don't. The world doesn't need to see that you sent money. That Cody B. Tapp sent money to Brian whatever, like that, and put a pizza emoji in there. Like, why? What are we doing? Just make it private. I don't know. I don't understand why everybody doesn't have that.
I
like seeing it.
I
Really?
would prefer that Venmo not require me to put words in. Just let me
Well, you
send.
can put whatever you want in there.
No, but you have to put a note. Why do you need a note?
Well,
Doesn't matter what it's for.
Someone says if you put your Venmo on air right now, they will Venmo you $100. Jed.
$100,
I
Jed,
think-
for your birthday.
I think it was for his wedding.
my birthday?
It's for his
Wedding,
wedding.
whatever.
That's in April.
Congratulations. I think you should share. The worst thing that happens is someone sends you 10 cents
I
or
guess.
$100.
Let me even see what it is.
Come on, let's find it.
Someone
Happy
says they were
wedding to
gonna-
Jed.
816. Good call, Jed. I was going to dox you if you gave out your Venmo.
Dox him on
I
Venmo.
don't know what that means. At Jed-Marshall-3. There's a Homer pouring water onto his control board because that's my.
Okay, say it one more time.
Jed, J-E-D, dash Marshall, M-A-R-S-H-A-L-L, dash 3. And there's a picture.
His might have been private at one time because his other things say Dinner at Jazz, Grateful Dead bobblehead. You've obviously paid people on Venmo for other things.
I have.
Okay, well, good.
But now I believe it's private.
Jed is getting married this week, so if you want to send a little congratulatory little,
a couple bucks, even $2, who cares?
Something, go for it.
Or a Target gift card, you can mail it to the station, 7,000 Squid
No,
Road.
if you mail a
Could you
gift card,
imagine just random gift cards?
if you
getting mailed to the
mail
station?
gift cards to the station, those are going to be confiscated by other people, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure about that. But
Matter
at
of
least
fact,
the
now
idea is then we're all getting presents.
If we see you get an envelope with your name on it,
I'm gonna start
I
cracking
can't
them
promise
open now.
you. Can't promise. That's why I think people should just Venmo you. Anyway, a weird show. I'll be honest today because we're off on a Wednesday in the middle of December, early, which normally does not happen. There's K-State basketball today at 1:30. Now pregame starts at 12:30. K-State is playing Radford.
You want to put some money on it with me?
I mean,
Let's put some money on K-State Radford. Have some faith in the Wildcats.
I haven't even looked. At the line against Radford. K-State coming off a win against Nebraska at T-Mobile Center. You can tell me what the line is. I have no clue.
I'm happy to get in on some of this action because people actually are giving me money on Venmo. I don't really have no idea why this is happening.
How much so far?
Let's see here. It seems, wow, $151 from that person.
Hey, all right.
So, yeah, we might be making some sweet action
Jed's
later.
getting married this week.
And Jed's going to turn that money into more money. Smart.
Yeah.
Assuming I listen to Alex's
We're going to fund your honeymoon, okay? That's what we're going to try to do. We're going to fund your honeymoon.
Someone just gave me $5.
Hey, very nice. See, our listeners are great.
We have a very generous listener base.
People are saying congrats on getting married.
But they don't
right
even
now,
like me.
K-State
That's the
minus
weirdest
16
part.
against Radford. Over under 136.
Wednesday afternoon game, take the under.
Okay. I'm taking the under. Literally as we speak. I'll be putting some money on the under.
All right, so that's why we're off at 12:30 today. But we do want to talk some Chiefs here because yesterday we were going through the MVP stuff for Patrick Mahomes. And in passing, I think you even made a comment quickly, just like you thought he was playing his best football, that this is the best we've seen from Patrick Mahomes.
I thought about it even more, trying to decide, like, is that one of those comments you say flippantly and then decide later maybe you were getting a little too rushed? And I started going through every year of his career. The only one, obviously, that you can make a stronger argument for is the very first year he was a starter, in which he threw for 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards in a season that lasted a full game less than the one he's getting ready to play, in which he will surpass the yardage by a pretty good margin and averaging more yards per game than he did that season. But he won't surpass the touchdowns, and he'll have a similar number of interceptions. Very simply put, yes. This is the best I've ever seen Patrick Mahomes play. It was kind of culminated for me, and I think the reason why we maybe hadn't had the conversation yet is he'd been turning the ball over, and we'd seen some of that backslide, and we weren't really sure where he was this season. But when I watched him against the Houston Texans, he's completing 90% of his passes, and he was near perfection. And I'm remembering that he's doing all of this without Tyreek Hill. This is the single best season of Patrick Mahomes' career. He is playing his best football. That's the one thing that can reverse part of the conversation we had yesterday of where's your confidence rating of this team going into the postseason? The fact that Patrick Mahomes is having his best season, in my opinion, ever, really makes me feel like he can overcome a lot. It's the reason why they're going to end up this season 14-3. In a year in which their defense is going to rank 20th in points per game, they're going to lose one of the top weapons in all of the NFL, and they're still going to win 14 games, win their division before Christmas, all of those things. It's because Patrick Mahomes is having the best season of his career.
And I think this game on Sunday that we just saw against the Texans, as frustrating as that was, I actually think that was one of the stronger arguments in a way of how good Patrick Mahomes has been. Because he was essentially perfect for incompletions, 20 straight completions down the stretch. That game was as good as it gets, and it got lost in the shuffle because of other things that were going on in that football game and frustration because it was against the Houston Texans. Statistically, we know the MVP season was 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards. Well, he's about 500 yards away from 5,000 yards. He's sitting at 35 touchdowns. He's probably going to finish, let's call it 42 touchdowns, 41 touchdowns, roughly.
Probably around that number.
Right, and he's going to finish probably with around 5,100, 5,200 yards at least.
He's going to finish with he's got 11 interceptions now. He'll finish somewhere between probably 11 and 13.
Without Tyreek Hill is what makes it that much more impressive, because we can't talk about how big of a loss that was all offseason, locally, nationally, and then not give credit where it's due now that it is heading into Week 16, and he is putting up just as good a numbers, in fact, again, potentially better, than he did in 2018 when we all know he had Tyreek and Travis Kelce in this league. And this is one of the toughest schedules in football. I know the AFC West isn't what we thought it was, which we'll get to again coming up at 11 o'clock, because I think it's maybe been a little misleading, actually, with now that you fast forward and look at the AFC West. But he's done it with one of the toughest schedules in football, and with a wide receiver core that not only doesn't have Tyreek Hill, but Cody, there's your number one wide receiver outside of Kelce has been Juju, and he was out for a couple games. McCole Hardman's been out for a couple games. So you haven't had your same starting running back all year. That this season he's put together has been awfully impressive.
You have to remember that part of the statistical boom that we saw from Patrick Mahomes in his second year is because, this year's defense is not good. It's struggled for a majority of it. At best, it's average. You take this year's defense over the 2018 one by a mile.
Sure.
Part of the reason his statistics ended up where they did in 2018 is because they had to score 40 every game, every single game. Honestly, some of it is because he's also kind of changed as a quarterback a little bit. We've seen his willingness to throw the ball short. We've seen his willingness to check it down to Jerick McKinnon and what a difference that makes. They have somehow, it's all the stats put together. They have somehow done this and maintained the number one big play offense in the NFL, the number one points per game offense in the NFL. They're doing it with good wide receivers. Juju Smith-Schuster is a good wide receiver. MVS is the most average run-of-the-mill wide receiver in the NFL, right? Guys who get 700 and 800 yards, there's 50 or 60 of them in the NFL. And MVS is just another one of those. I know he's got a Hall of Famer in Kelce, and maybe we'll be having this conversation again, Gold, when he does or tries to have a season like this, but without Travis Kelce, the single greatest tight end in NFL history. But to me, still, this has been his most impressive season because he's doing it in a completely different way. He had to evolve. We talk about it with coaches all the time, but this matters to quarterbacks too. Russell Wilson keeps trying to be something he's not, and it's causing a problem. Patrick Mahomes is just adding to his skill set slowly. And as a result of that, we're getting the best season of his career.
He's the best quarterback in football, and he's still, so I think what we're seeing this year too, Cody, is a reminder that he's only 27 years old and that we're still just now entering his prime. And so it's not, a lot of quarterbacks, of course, would have looked at what he was doing at 23 and 24, and that would have been unbelievable accomplishments, which they were. But the fact that he's better than that, because now he's 27, 28, he's got the knowledge. It's funny whenever Patrick Mahomes talks, yesterday, and he'll be asked questions. He's like, which is hilarious. When I was younger, when I was a young guy in this league, it's you're still only 27, man. You're still just entering your prime. But he's been a starter now since 2018, and you couple the narratives that were around this season, and the narratives around him, and how Cincinnati was playing him in the postseason, and how Buffalo was playing him last year, and a lot of teams, and to see that he's been able to make the adjustments, and the coaching staff certainly gets a lot of credit for this as well, to where he is the favorite to win MVP, and he's not, and we already know he's got one MVP award. So, yeah, I'm with you, and I are kind of in agreement on this one. The AFC West is an interesting conversation, which we'll have at 11 o'clock because of what the expectation was, and now seeing kind of the buzz around one team in particular. But what else makes this offense elite as well? Another sign that this offense is able to put itself in a special category. Of course, Mahomes the biggest part. But you take a look at the Chiefs' offense, the lowest TO percentage in the NFL when you look at how this team has gotten new sets of downs. So Jesse Newell did a really good breakdown of this. And so despite the concerns about the turnovers and everything, you take a look at some of the charts that on offensive series, whether it's a touchdown or first down, and the percentage there, field goal versus turnover compared to punts. We're frustrated by 9 straight games with turnovers. But 80% of their drives, Cody, still result in touchdowns or first downs, right? Touchdown or first down, meaning they're not going 3 and out, right? The rate at which the Chiefs go 1st and 10 and then get a first down and a new set of down is higher than anybody else in the league. Now, the Eagles are second. And look, the two of the best teams in football.
That's
makes
shocking.
Sense, right? The Bills are there at 77%. The Chiefs, they'll still have the highest percentage of where either get a new set of downs or they get a touchdown, 80% of the time.
That is an insane figure, to be clear. I think what makes it stand out to me, and why you should be the Chiefs' offense is going to work against, and this is why I think it works against any defense. So I was watching the 49ers game over the weekend. I'm like, how does anyone score against this team? And I see all the national pundits gushing over how good Bosa and the 49ers defense is. Just as a quick reminder, the Chiefs scored 43 against the San Francisco 49ers. They poured it on them. They scored at will. And the reason why, for the rare cases in the NFL, the Chiefs' plan offensively is working to perfection. This is exactly how they planned on being. We said it was going to take more plays. We said it was going to take more first downs. You were just going to have to go down the field. But very simply, I don't think teams can cover the Chiefs enough because they have too many people they can throw it to. The Chiefs on any third, like if I said it's 3rd and 6 right now, how many options do you think are a pretty good one to get a first down? Travis Kelce, Juju Smith-Schuster, you have to include Jerick McKinnon in that conversation. MVS has been reliable in that role. All right, I'm already up to 4. How many teams have 4? Before you already talk about the fact that I'd feel pretty good giving the ball to McCole Hardman on 3rd and 6.
And that goes back to the AFC title game in overtime, where there was a lot of frustration. But
because they threw it to Demarcus Robinson.
Exactly. And we said, and we had conversations in July, and it was, this was before we ever saw what this would look like this year. We said, do you feel more confident that guys like, McCole Hardman are your 3rd, 4th option, or did you feel more confident that guys like Demarcus Robinson were your 3rd or 4th option? And to now see that really after Kelce and Juju, to have McCole not be just your number 2, as maybe he was Demarcus Robinson, your number 4, that was a change in the offseason as well, to where you have more guys you feel, to your point, more guys that you feel confident. That was like the dream scenario that we were hoping for in July when we were talking about this wide receiver core. Like, do you feel like they're deeper? That was the thing. They're not a better wide receiver core, we kept saying.
They're deeper. They're way deeper.
Yeah, and we've seen it. Look how it's played out. Justin Watson, who was a special teams player most of his career, is actually going to probably end up with 300 yards receiving for this team this year. MVS is going to have a career year. He's not going to get a 1,000-yard receiver, but he's going to probably end up with about 750 yards, career year for MVS. Sky Moore, obviously the expectations were maybe a 400 or 500-yard season. He's not going to get to that number. We've talked about that throughout the season. But then you've had other guys step up. I did think Juju was a 1,000-yard guy. Some people didn't. If he didn't get hurt, was probably going to be a 1,200 or 1,300-yard guy. He's going to at least be a 1,000-yard. He's 150 yards away from being a 1,000-yard receiver. They're deeper. That was the biggest thing, and we've seen it. That actually even goes into the Patrick Mahomes conversation. Why? It's a tribute to those receivers, but also to him, that he's turned multiple guys into reliable targets.
Yes, because Justin Watson, again, and Tom Brady makes guys like Justin Watson valuable for a couple of games because that's all you need. Like in the regular season, you want to be able to rely on those guys kind of going through that moment. Now, as Jesse Newell points out in a tweet talking about that one, this could be leading to some of the turnover issues. Because if you just take it in a per drive capacity, the Chiefs actually don't turn it over that much on how often they have the ball versus they do it. Now, we talked about this when teams were designing to beat the Chiefs last year. Part of the way they were doing it is we're going to make you go slow, methodical, we're going to drive you crazy, and we're going to hope that when it takes you a 10-play drive down the field, you're going to screw up. And right now, the Chiefs are leaning into that hard. They are screwing up somewhere along the way in those drives because it takes so many plays. That's the only downside to this design of the offenses. It requires you to go 10 plays without getting a holding call, without getting a turnover, without getting an offensive pass interference, because those things are what will stop you from scoring more than you should. That's why we feel sometimes that the Chiefs are leaving points on the table so much, despite the fact they're the number 1 scoring offense in the NFL.
That's what Cincinnati did last year in both games, and it's what they've done even in the third matchup. They've been the team that's done that the best in terms of wait. Eli Apple's comments after last year, like waiting it, we were waiting.
He'll get impatient.
Yeah, we were waiting for that, and that's exactly what's happening. Yeah, the actual number from Jesse there over at the Star is that when Kansas City gets a fresh set of downs, so when they get a first down, 1 in 25 times they turn it over, which is actually the best in the league. So it's like they have one of the bottom 3 turnover differentials because they don't get takeaways and they've got 9 straight games of giving the ball away. But when you consider the amount of drives they have, 1 in 25 times they actually turn it over.
But that's it. It's so like the league might accept this ratio. What's weird is until the Chiefs stop turning it over, they might accept the Chiefs playing this way because those turnover plays still bring them back into games. It's what brought Denver into the game. It's what allowed the Texans to be in the game. Outside of Carl Sheffers, it was the turnovers, right?
Jed's favorite referee, man. Big fan of his.
Look, we have been pretty strong on the show of not blaming referees. He clearly has a vendetta.
I agree. Cody.
Carl Sheffers very clearly has a bias against a team and should not ref against those teams. I'm not saying every ref shouldn't ref against the Chiefs. Just Carl Sheffers.
Someone's got to.
He had to cry onto a microphone. He has been embarrassed here. He's been made fun of by players on this team for years. Kelsey's taken shots at him going back 7 or 8 years ago. It's a vendetta.
He calls
There's
the most penalties of any official in the league, so it's not specific to one
He knows
team.
how to bog down games, doesn't he? He knows how to drag the good teams
just fire
down.
him then, Jed. It doesn't have to be just the Chiefs. Get rid of his ass. Tell him to
I'm
stop
not
calling so
saying
many
that he's a
penalties.
good official, but again, the conspiracy tinfoil hat that was presented by Alex the other day when you were off, I don't think that's legit.
I think it is.
20% of the Chiefs' penalties have occurred in games he's officiated.
But he calls the most penalties league-wide.
And this goes back to the Raiders game where his voice was cracking. You're telling me as a human that doesn't impact you and maybe lead to some bias, that a couple years ago when Travis Kelce called him a Foot Locker referee, basically, that's not something that you remember just because you're a human being?
I'm not saying the guy's not an AH and maybe not good at his job. All I'm saying is that if you look at the statistics like we did the other day with Bink.
We did.
Which I pointed out after the show, and by that I mean my fiance did, that he calls the most penalties league-wide. So therefore, I don't think it can necessarily be indicative of one team.
Jed's fiance
Yeah, but the reason why he can get to the most penalties league-wide is because he calls just such an egregious number against the Chiefs. Otherwise, he'd be like 7th or 8th.
Okay, if that helps you.
You hear that? Jed's fiance is doing research for the show, which is why you should Venmo Jed. And as someone pointed out,
it's for really both of them.
As they said, the money
Jed
isn't for Jed; it's for his fiance. That's probably a good way to approach it.
Jed
as well.
dash Marshall dash 3. She is the bread maker of the family.
I'm guessing you've gotten a little bit of money already sent to you.
Yeah, a little bit. I'll thank all the people during Jed Talks. But I texted her and she said, "Damn, good listeners."
We agree. We have the best. We have the best. Thinking of money, though, the NFL has, of course, their owners' meetings. They had that last week. They warned owners, like, just making sure you guys know how much money you're spending on certain things. They said, by the way,
a little pie chart.
You guys as a league have spent $800 million on fired coaches and front office execs over the last 5 years. $800 million have been spent by owners to get rid of coaches and staff.
In 5 years?
And front office guys because the hires have failed. That is a wild number. At the same time, I don't think it's scaring an owner off whatsoever. In fact, if you're a fan of a team, you don't want that number to scare your owner off because you don't want to be what the Raiders are, which is an owner that doesn't have the money to fire their head coach, so they're keeping their head coach around for another year. That's the report. I understand the Raiders are playing better as of late. They also had one of the most ridiculous, dumbest decisions happen in their favor, actually, shockingly enough, in the Patriots game, where Jacoby Myers thought it was a good idea to throw the ball to his quarterback with the game tied and no time on the clock.
Bad decision.
$800 million is a wild number, Cody, but like that's not going to scare owners off. If they think they have the wrong head coach because they didn't make the right hire, they're going to keep writing checks. They're going to keep doing it. And again, as a fan, if you're a fan of one of those teams, like you hope that. You don't want ever your owner to be like, well, we spent too much money on the prior staff, so we're sticking with this guy anyway, even though he sucks.
What's wild about this is that there are like 9 teams that really haven't changed head coach or general manager during this time.
Yeah.
The Chiefs, the Patriots, the Ravens, the
Steelers,
the Rams.
Yeah.
None of these teams have changed anything, which means it's really like 23 teams that have spent $800 million. And this is where you should come for the appreciation. We spend these conversations and we say, how hard it is to find the quarterback and how lucky you are that Patrick Mahomes is here. Well, the Chiefs right now all together have a guy in general manager they don't want to fire, a guy at head coach they don't want to fire, and a quarterback they don't want to fire. Do you know how rare that triumvirate is? Because even if 2 of the 3 things are working, let's say in Pittsburgh, they're not looking to fire their general manager. And look, they've had a new general manager the last 5 years, but it was just a guy who stepped up after the guy who'd been there forever had stepped down, not been fired, had just stepped away. They like their coach. They like their GM. They hate their quarterback. All right, let's go to the Patriots. Even if they like their general manager and the coach, who is the same man, I think they should like their coach, not like the GM, even though he's the same person. They want a new quarterback. Okay, let's go to the Rams. Like their GM, like their coach, hate their quarterback. It's easy to find. The Titans, who are one of the teams who have been on this list before
I think the
this
Rams
moment.
hate their quarterback.
Okay, well, he's old and they don't
He
want
just said he's not going to retire.
Yeah, well, look, their quarterback situation is not, hate is probably strong, but their quarterback situation is not good.
The whole team is just a mess. They sold their soul for the Super Bowl. They got the ring. We knew this was
and they feel pretty good about
it's time
that
to, it's time to pay up, and that's what's happening for the Rams now.
But even the teams that we're talking about feel good about. I am not surprised that it's this number at all. Also, if they were worried about the economics of it, they wouldn't keep spending it. This goes back to the college and universities part for college. Be like, man, they had to pay him $40 million to go. And wait, if they didn't have it, they wouldn't fire him. It doesn't matter. They don't care. There's so much money in the sport. Paying $800 million is a drop in the bucket. I'm sure if you're a player, you're frustrated. But if it's not working, it's not working.
The league's about to get another $2 billion reportedly for NFL Sunday Ticket, which reports are it's going to move over to YouTube TV. You saw that last night from Google's going to pay. Looks around $2 billion for the NFL Sunday Ticket package. It's not 100% confirmed, but that's where multiple reports, including from Pro Football Talk, have it. All right, coming up next, though, as we're just getting started here on Cody and Gold, the three top teams in the AFC. Yesterday we said, hey, these are the biggest concerns we had about the Chiefs, but there are plenty of flaws with the Bills and Cincinnati. Maybe throw Miami into the picture as well. We're going to go through each one of them next.
You're listening to Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gant Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gant Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Subscribe and download all new episodes of Nick's Wavin' in the Wheat podcast, released every Thursday on the 435 Podcast Network and the Odyssey app.
Well, guys, you did it again. Even though Christmas is on the same date every year, you got busy, and now it's crunch time. And you got nothing for her. Well, that's not exactly true. You got me. This is Gene at House of Diamonds, where there are three things we do better than anyone else. We have better diamonds at better prices than even the online guys. We have the most skilled and technologically advanced custom jewelry shop within 200 miles. And no one, I mean no one, personally takes care of last-minute shoppers like I do. Hey, until I opened House of Diamonds, that last-minute guy was me. So I get it. Come in and see me. I'll show you a collection of one-of-a-kind pendants, earrings, bracelets, and rings that will blow her away. She'll think you started working on this back in July. Fellow procrastinators, I've got your back. Come see me at House of Diamonds. House of Diamonds on the southeast corner of College and Quivira.
Right now at Old Navy, grab gifts starting at just $2. There's only a few days left to shop, so run to Old Navy for incredible gifts starting at just $2. Don't miss these awesome deals on gifts at Old Navy. Valid 12/16 through 12/24. Select styles only. If you have been diagnosed with prostate cancer, see the best in KC. Getting an opinion from the experts at KCUC can be crucial to ensure you are getting the best possible prostate cancer care. At Kansas City Urology Care, we are making it as easy as possible to do just that. Call 816-PCA-KCUC or visit kcuc.com. Trust the surgeons at KCUC who diagnose and treat the most prostate cancer in the region, who pioneered robotic prostate cancer surgery in KC, having done over 2,500 cases, and who has the only independent radiation treatment center in town, giving patients the best possible cancer treatment in the fastest, most convenient, and affordable manner. The world-class urologists and radiation oncologists at KCUC are here to help you and your family. Call us today at 816-PCA-KCUC. That's 816-PCA-KCUC to schedule a consultation, or visit kcuc.com. At KCUC, you see the best in KC.
If you are a local business owner, it's probably been a bumpy ride from pandemic to inflation. Did you know that if your business has 5 or more employees and managed to survive COVID, you could be eligible to receive a payroll tax rebate of up to $26,000 per employee? Not a lot of people know about this. It isn't a loan. There's no payback. It's a refund of your taxes. The challenge is getting your hands on it. How do you cut through the red tape? Get your business the refund money? Well, go to getrefunds.com. That's getrefunds.com. The team of tax attorneys they've put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program and have already returned $1 billion to businesses, and they can help you as well. They do all the work, no charges up front. You simply share a percentage of the cash they get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those who took PPP, nonprofits, even those that had increases in sales. To find out if your business qualifies, just go to getrefunds.com, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. That's getrefunds.com.
Don't miss the National Fishing Expos Kansas City, January 20th through the 22nd at the KCI Expo Center. Fishing season starts now with over 60 free seminars with pros from every corner of the sport, all while experiencing huge savings on all your tackle needs, all under one roof. 2 kids, 17 and under, get in free with every adult at the National Fishing Expos Kansas City, this January 20th through the 22nd at the KCI Expo Center. For information and tickets, go to nationalfishingexpos.com. Presented by Wholesale Batteries, the right battery the first time.
106.5 The Wolf wants to give you the ultimate game day experience. Coors Light, McFadden's, and The Wolf are throwing huge parties for every game, home and away at KC Live in the Power and Light District. Complete with pregame food and drink specials, tailgate games, live entertainment, and more. When the game is over, celebrate the win with your fellow fans at McFadden's and KC Live. Come for the game, stay for the party at the ultimate game day experience. Brought to you by Coors Light. Get details from your official radio home for Chiefs football at 1065thewolf.com.
Hey, here's a question. After you wear your clothes, you toss them in the washing machine, right? Nobody wants to wear dirty clothes. So how come you don't throw your shoes in the washing machine when they get dirty? I mean, come on. Your shoes are touching the filthy ground all day long. Gross. Well, with Skechers, you can. Because most Skechers are machine washable. That's right. Skechers are specially made so you can toss them right in the washing machine and keep them clean and looking new. And when they look new, you can confidently wear them longer. That's less shoes you're going to want to throw away, which means less waste. And it'll save you tons of dough. I love that. Plus, machine washable Skechers are for the whole family, men, women, and kids. So when your kids get their shoes dirty, and we know they will, just wash them. Brilliant. And even our latest technology, new hands-free Skechers slip-ins are washable. You just step right in and go without bending down or even touching your shoes. So give your Skechers the same treatment you give your clothes. Just toss them in the washing machine and keep them looking brand spanking new. Find machine washable Skechers at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear happens to be sold.
When temperatures drop, COVID-19 cases may rise. So if you test positive and are at high risk, act fast. Even if your symptoms feel mild, ask your provider if an authorized oral treatment could be right for you. Visit treatcovid19.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
So I switched to Boost Mobile and got this free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone.
Why do you think they call it the Galaxy?
Maybe because the Samsung Galaxy A23 has a huge screen, and galaxies are huge gravitationally bound systems of stars rotating around a supermassive black hole.
And the phone is free?
When you switch to Boost Mobile.
Cool. You lost me at gravitationally bound.
Switch to Boost and get a free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone. Boost Mobile. Unleash your power. Limited time offer while supplies last. New customers only. Excludes tax. One device offer per line. Only available on certain networks. 5G not available everywhere. Additional restrictions apply. See local Boost Mobile store for details.
Some fans gear up for game day, but some fans follow their team every day. That's why the Locked On Podcast Network has a daily podcast for your favorite NBA team. Every trade, every overtime win, every game, our local experts cover the biggest stories around your team every day. Search Locked On plus your favorite NBA team on the Odyssey app or wherever you get podcasts. The Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Chiefs coverage brought to you by Andy's Frozen Custard. This season, tailgate with Andy's Pick 6.
Let me tell you about my good friend Andy from Andy's Frozen Custard. He's from Kansas City, never misses a game, and serves the world's finest frozen custard. Tailgate with a Pick 6 or grab a freshly made custom treat before or after a game. And tell him Mitch and Andy sent you.
Back here on Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tapp with you. Jed Marshall producing the show. We'll get to Jed Talks coming up in about 12 minutes or so.
Are you rich yet, Jed? From all the people Venmoing you for your wedding on Friday?
I don't know if rich, but definitely getting closer. I need Alex's gambling advice.
You're just going to take all the money.
You're going to take
all the money that people gave you, and you're just going to bet it on something?
You said bet the under.
Isn't that the reasonable...
No, the under for the K-State game, it's like a $5 wager. They're playing Radford on a Wednesday at 1:30 in the afternoon. Okay?
I put 10 on it, but...
Okay.
So over? I need to kind of
You can fade me. Yeah, you can go over. I'm just going under. To me, it's a Wednesday afternoon game, and the building's going to be absolutely dead. Nobody's going to be there.
Shots fired.
Well, I mean, that would be the case at most venues. It's a Wednesday at 1:30 in the afternoon right before the holidays.
Have you seen our work parking lot?
It's empty, man.
There is no one at work.
We're all here.
But that's it. It is the three of us. It is one person over at KMBZ and literally nobody else in this building.
That's not true. I saw Joe earlier this morning.
Oh, I did
Said
see
hello
her
to
briefly.
me.
Okay, so they're fine.
Five
people in this building.
Specs here.
This is true.
You're calling out so many people. No wonder you don't have many friends, Cody.
Why? Because I said that nobody was here? I like to keep a tight friend group.
So we'll get to Jed Talks, and we'll get an update count on how the Venmo account is going in just a little bit. But yesterday we were going through special teams, turnovers, red zone defense, right? The kind of the three biggest concerns that everybody has at this point, 3 weeks to go till the postseason starts. Well, let's not act like the Bills, Cincinnati, Miami, whoever you consider the other top three teams in the AFC, that they don't have some flaws, which is why I do think it is wide open, which is why let's put everything in perspective a little bit with this football team that is likely going to win 14 games, has a chance still to be the number 1 seed. They can do no worse than the 3. Right now, the odds are they're going to be the 2 seed unless Cincinnati can beat Buffalo. But these other teams have flaws as well. There's nobody in the AFC where maybe in the past there was a clear best team, a clear second best team. I don't think that's the case, which is why, considering how the Chiefs approached this past offseason, considering where they're at as a football team, they're still in as good of a spot for this postseason as anybody else in the AFC as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, Cincinnati's owned you. They beat you in 3 straight games. That'll be an unbelievable storyline again if Kansas City ends up facing Cincinnati in one of these rounds of the postseason. There's a chance, certainly, of that happening. But let's start with Buffalo. I mean, the big question they have, their defense isn't as daunting as it once seemed. It's a very good defense.
Especially with no Von Miller.
Very good defense, but yeah, Von Miller was brought in to beat the Chiefs, to close out playoff games. He closed out the regular season game against Kansas City, if we all remember how that game ended. And he was brought in to do that. We know he's on IR. He is done for the season. Not coming back. That's it. Von Miller is done for them. So that defense is not the number 1, number 2, 3 defense we thought. They're like what? The 7th best defense? Maybe a top 5 defense? Very good, but not dominant the way they once were. And we've seen moments where Josh Allen can still throw some interceptions. They've got some flaws. And then Cincinnati, if you actually look, there's probably nobody playing better football right now in the entire league than them, which is actually kind of crazy. But still, what's the question you have about them? Even though we haven't seen it in Chiefs games, protecting Joe Burrow is still the biggest question for Cincinnati. Can they protect him on a consistent basis?
And they're not nearly as big play as they were before. Remember how many just massive yardage plays they had over the last couple of years? They don't do that quite as much as they have in previous years. The Bills, if I'm going through my biggest concern for each team, for the Chiefs, it is the turnovers. Hands down, we talked about that yesterday. I think it's them, right? Okay, so next, then what do we have? Then for the Bills, I think it's that Josh Allen has reverted a couple of times this season. I'd be worried about running into a game where, second-year Josh Allen rolls into the year because it's happened a couple times this year, and that's when their team looks bad. When Josh Allen starts doing those things, some old Josh Allen stuff. And Cincinnati, their defense is better than it was probably last year, which makes them scary. Their defense is probably better than it was 2 years ago, which makes them scary. They're still one of the better offenses in the NFL, but they can't, to me, you're going to say, all right, they just scored 30 points straight against the Bucs. Well, the Bucs turned the ball over 4 consecutive possessions. And I get that Cincinnati is a part of that equation, but that's a bad team turning the ball over a bunch. That's how they were able to get that number of points. From a big play perspective, they're 10th. They built their entire offense around that. I'm not so sure that if you're Cincinnati, my biggest fear is somebody's going to do to you in the postseason what they've been doing to the Chiefs for 2 years. Someone's going to decide to drop 8 against you every single snap and force you to go down the field 12 plays at a time. And I think the second that a team decides to do that is when you're going to start fearing your ability to do it. We know the Chiefs' flaws. We've talked about them multiple times. It is the 3 big things you mentioned earlier. I think none bigger than the turnovers, honestly, at this point. Because the text line said, hey, if they turn it over less, do you think the Chiefs' red zone defense would be better? Yes.
Yeah, the short fields.
If they turn it over later, do you think their offense would score more points? Yeah. It changes everything. It makes everything easier. The Broncos, I get it, that they only have to go 40 yards. But when you only have to go 40 yards, it's a lot easier to be efficient in the red zone, isn't it? Because you didn't have to do all that work to get up there. There weren't chances to make mistakes. That's what we're talking about with the Chiefs' offense.
Yeah, the Ringer is where we kind of got the idea here because the Ringer was going through their one big question for every team, Cody, and including Philadelphia, who is on the NFC side, of course. You don't have to worry about them for a while. But for Philly, they said, hey, what happens when the talent gap closes for them based off of a very light schedule. They're playing in one of the tougher divisions, but in general, a pretty light schedule for Philadelphia. You take a look over at Buffalo, the same questions we have. Is the defense talented enough at this point in time for Buffalo? It's not a bad defense, but are they talented enough? And their question for the Chiefs is not the turnovers, but is their defense tough enough? Which actually I think is a very fair question, and I hope it's something that the Chiefs defense takes personally.
Did you see Colin Saunders got on Twitter today?
He did.
It's about one defensive player a day.
Yeah, which is look, fine, whatever motivation that they need. He was critical because he was firing back at those that said they don't have a pass rush when they're top 5 in sacks. So he has every right to do that. But I think it is fair, and nobody likes having their toughness questioned. But when there have been some performances, go back to even a year or so ago, there have been multiple games where you felt like the Chiefs kind of got out physicaled. Right?
Yeah.
Out tough.
A couple times.
Right? And so I think that's a fair question, and I hope it's one that motivates the team. But that's the question that the Ringer national publication, the one question they listed for the Chiefs, not turnovers, although you and I are in agreement that actually is the biggest problem. Their question is the defense tough enough? Which is not something you want to hear if you're someone on that defense.
Way more than pass rush. And look, I've got, I think game to game, the pass rush is a little inconsistent, so there's some questions there because some of their sacks have come in bulk. I'm way more worried about their red zone defense because that's where toughness matters, Gold. That's where you get bullied. You're getting bullied down there, man. You got the second worst red zone scoring defense in the NFL. Like, I get where Colin Saunders coming from. His tweet said, one last thing I'm going to say on this. Go check sacks by defensive linemen for Kansas City compared to Dallas. But we only get pressure from blitzes. LOL. Okay, y'all got it. The kingdom has spoken. We suck ass cheekbones, apparently, is the way he put it, which I just love.
By the way, he's hilarious.
Oh, he's great.
Not just on Twitter. He's funny. Colin Saunders is a funny guy.
And he's having a really good, impactful year for the Chiefs. The fact that guys like Colin Saunders have been impactful for the Chiefs are the reason why the pass rush does rank where it does in sacks. But you got to figure out the red zone. Can you stop a team from scoring a touchdown on you? Because if they were league average right now, we would be talking. If they were just league average, I've done the math. If they were league average in red zone scoring defense, they would be a top 10 scoring defense. We wouldn't get to dunk on you, Colin. If you just stop teams from getting in the end zone, there'd be no complaints. You'd be a top 10 scoring defense and the number 1 scoring offense in the NFL. This team would be gearing towards the Super Bowl, beating every team by 2 touchdowns on their way doing it.
The Ringer pointed this out about the question of, are they tough enough defensively? It's the biggest question that they had. And they said, look, Kansas City's 24th in PFF's tackling metric. And I don't even need a Pro Football Focus metric to know that this team is not a good tackling team right now and hasn't been for much of the season. Against Houston, even, they averaged 2.5 yards to the Texans after contact on rush plays. And you had chances, for some tackles behind the line of scrimmage. We all know against Houston, you can get by with that. You're playing Samaje Perine, Joe Mixon. You're going up against the Buffalo Bills. Like, that's the kind of stuff that will cost you. Because you know how I know that, Cody? Because we saw it did cost them at times against Buffalo earlier this year. It did cost them against Cincinnati. So I think it's a fair question. The question that they listed for Cincinnati, does the Bengals offense need more downfield passing? Now, they were down 17-0 to the Bucs, and we all know they rattled off 34 straight points and ended up winning. But Bengals running backs finished the game with 45 yards on 18 attempts. Is the big play Cincinnati offense there? That's a question that I think has to be asked as much as where it was a year ago. Do they have that? Even though Jamar Chase is still there, do they still have the ability to make the huge plays down the field?
And again, that goes back to the thing I had said about them. Get to the postseason and see if a team plays you like the Chiefs and how you handle it. Because then you might run into the problems the Chiefs used to and now have solved.
I'll admit, it's not often now because we've been spoiled with where sports have been in Kansas City that I'm jealous of another city's front office / ownership. But I'll admit, there's one that I'm very jealous of. It's not football related, obviously, because the Chiefs have the best thing going right now. But on the baseball side of things, like, we can admit, watching what the Mets are doing, like, that's like the dream owner, right? We can get into
a guy who just does not care about money under any circumstances. Yeah, that's pretty good.
We can get into the issues of baseball, which there are plenty of them, and how it is completely.
Well, the Padres owner, for instance, who also doesn't care about money.
Yeah, how it is completely one-sided, and how you're essentially operating in 2 different leagues within one. But the Mets, after signing Carlos Correa today, who initially was signing with the Giants, and they canceled the press conference, failed physical, whatever it may be. After signing Carlos Correa to a $315 million deal, the Mets have committed $100 million in free agency. Their payroll next year will be just shy of $500 million, plus 110, that includes 110 in luxury tax payments. He's testing the limits of what it takes to buy a World Series. And you can say it's bad for baseball. It is. I agree. It is bad for baseball. But I'll be honest, I'm jealous. That's the dream owner. Be honest. That's the dream owner, that the guy's willing to just write a check because he can to win a World Series at all costs. That's a different world that they're living in up in New York. That's for sure.
This is the worst economic situation baseball's been in a long time, right?
This sucks for everybody else.
Do you know how many years total you'd have to combine to get to $800 million in free agency spending if you're the Royals?
8 years?
20. 20 gold. You'd have to get to 20 years. It'd take 20 years to get to $800 million of free agency spending for the Royals.
At their current pace or whatever? Yeah.
No, just what they've spent. They spent about $500 million, including contract extensions for guys like Salvador Perez over the last decade. And the decade before that, they spent another $400 million or so. So it would take almost 2 decades worth of free agency spending to equal one Mets offseason? The Mets have signed 5 contracts this offseason, greater than the single richest contract the Royals have ever signed. 5 this year than the Royals have ever signed under any circumstance. It's wild. Look, it is kind of disturbing. Just be like, hey, you want to see what a world? Hey, I want to find out what the dollar amount costs to buy a World Series.
He's trying to find out right now. That's for sure. And look, I'll be right there with everybody else when if the Mets fail to win the World Series.
I'll be dunking all over him. Yeah, it'll be great.
Yeah, but I'm jealous. I absolutely am jealous. It must be nice.
I don't think it's unfair to be, because I've said this before. The Royals, there certainly are economics of baseball and limits for teams that I do think exist. I think that small market teams make them exist much closer to a line than they need to. But the fact that there's going to be a team with a payroll quadruple your own makes the sport almost impossible. Think about any sport. Like if an NFL franchise, one team spent $200 million, which is about what they spend now, and the other spent $800 million, the competition in between would be impossible. The fact the Royals even won a World Series in 2015 sometimes still defies legitimate logic.
It makes you appreciate it even more, doesn't it? When you look at where we're at in baseball and the economics of it. We've always known that there's been disadvantages for them. It is pretty remarkable that they were able to win one. It's just, how am I supposed to believe, though, that that's something you can replicate? When I look at where it's gotten even worse in terms of the economics of baseball to small market versus big market. Should they be competitive? Yeah, there's no excuse. They can be competitive. But the idea that they should be anywhere near where any of these other teams are, like how, Cody? You just told me it's going to take 20 years to get anywhere near that financially.
So here's one thing I think that you can take from this. And you know, Minneapolis is a bigger market than Kansas City. I'm not trying to claim it isn't.
Yep.
But what I think the Twins, but they're not way bigger. What I think the Twins have figured out is what's at play here. The Twins have spent about the 10th most amount of money over the last 5 years in Major League Baseball and free agency spending. What I think the Royals need to come to a realization here is, no, you can't spend like the Mets. It seems impossible. You're never going to convince any owner of a small market team to spend like the Mets, except for maybe the Padres, apparently. But what you have to learn from this is you can't just not spend. That era, to me, of baseball is dead. This notion that is, we'll just be bad for a while, we'll get all these draft picks, we'll draft and develop, and we'll do it. You have to spend something. You have to give Bobby Wood Jr. a couple $100 million, or you got to give Vinny 70, or whatever. You have to spend some money. They have been actively, for the last 4 years, attempting to spend as little, in my opinion, as possible. And you can't really operate that way anymore. You have to spend something. And to this point...
Yeah, on the right players, though. I mean, I understand you were just listing off young players, and I get it. We're hoping those guys turn out to be legit players long-term for this franchise. But it's not, to me, just as simple as, like, just go spend money. Like, you still got to spend it. You still got to also spend it on the right players,
but
man.
You're gonna have to accept a couple of misses.
Well,
like for the next 10 big contracts you hand out, I think you're gonna have to accept 2 misses. I know it sucks, but it is your situation.
You just told me though it's gonna take 20 years to spend what the Mets are spending, and so my point being is you're right. They need to spend more money as an organization. But the idea though that they can miss on 2 guys, that's where you and I think have always disagreed. Like you're right, they have to spend money, but I do think there are major ramifications to the Royals missing out on 2 players compared to, the Mets, no big deal. They spent $500 million, and one of those guys got hurt and is never the same player. Okay, they move on. They can write another check. Like, the Royals can't miss on 2 players. That's the difference, Cody. If they're going to hand out the $100+ million contract for the first time, they can't miss on those because then you won't get them to spend again.
But if they never spend $100 million, they'll never matter.
Yeah,
anyway.
I would push
That's
back
the thing.
on a
They'll
little
never
bit, though.
matter anyway. They won't matter under both scenarios.
Well, I mean, from a business side, would you rather spend a ton of money and lose money and not matter, or not spend a lot of money and
I
be in the
understand,
same boat?
but this is why I'm not going to let them off. Like
I'm just saying.
owning a, to me,
It's a business too, though. It sucks.
This is where it comes to me. Is I don't think it should be. It's funny money. It's not a business. You have so much money, you could buy this thing that costs $1 billion, $4 billion, $10 billion. Because there are owners who roll into these leagues and they don't care that it's a business. They just spend a bunch of money because they're like, screw it, I own this big cool thing and I'm going to buy all the toys for it.
Well, right, and that's why Steve Cohen is a dream owner, but also Steve Cohen is worth how much money? $9.1 billion. I mean, it's not the same.
Someone's like, you guys should build an NFL Mets equivalent. It's like the team could have Mahomes, Kelsey, Tyreek, Aaron Donald, Andy Reid, a top defense. You're like, oh yeah, I mean, it would be bonkers. Now, in the NFL,
the Royals
each individual player impacts the win total more than in baseball. So it's weird because the sports.
I'm not telling you that they shouldn't be more competitive. I'm not telling you that they shouldn't be spending more money. I just don't think it's as simple as that. And also, the Mets, or the Twins, excuse me, have been competitive, right? And that's what a lot of people are asking for. But you just told me they had a top 10 payroll last year. Is that true? Top 10 payroll last year? They won 78 games. They didn't make the postseason. It's like, I mean, there's no direct correlation into automatically spending money and you're going to have all this success. Like, it sucks. They got to find a balance between the two. But the league itself sucks because you can have one team who cares about the luxury tax. You can have one team that doesn't care, that has an owner that's willing to write checks all over the place. And then you have other teams that are trying to compete with $75 or even $80 million payrolls. Like even if the Royals' payroll was $100, that's still a $400 million difference. I mean, that's insane.
No other sport operates this far apart. And here's the other thing about this. If you're a small market team, you should want Cohen to spend this amount of money. That sounds stupid, right? Nope, just more money for you, and you should use that money to make your team better. Steve Cohen's going to have to write a check. He's going to give the Royals $15 million, $10 million. They're going to pay half of the contract, the richest contract they've signed. But for one team, the Royals, to spend about $20 million or so in free agency this year, and another team to spend $800 million in free agency this year, I think we should probably try to find a way to tighten that up a little.
Yeah, they're playing two different sports, man. They really are. This is why the development angle is, the Mets, they can develop players, but they don't have to develop players.
No,
they can just write checks. The Royals have to develop players, plain and simple. Have to develop players, get a little lucky along the way, and then when the time's right, maybe spend a little bit more than normal. I mean, that's all. I mean,
I'd like them to spend more just all the time, but sure.
But that's unfortunately where they're at, man. It sucks. All right, let's get to Jed Talks.
Gotta write something down. Nick's notable notes.
I'm legitimately concerned. I've never seen you guys that actually upset with each other.
Oh, that was nothing.
Oh, it wasn't?
That was nothing.
Oh, okay.
We've been way more argumentative and aggressive on top. That was nothing.
Maybe it's because Cody's been out. I'm not used to it. Let's start
that was nothing, man.
With some Jed Talks talking about the world of the NBA. Did you guys see that Rudy Gobert gave out more than 450 Target gift cards to employees at the Target Center for $50 each?
Good for him, man. Now, you were critical of Floyd Mayweather only giving 1,000 to kids. Is that too little for you? Is
no.
$50 gift cards not enough?
No, it's fine because he gave out
to every single employee at the.
I think it's awesome.
$22,000.
Good for him.
Not
man.
like Floyd Mayweather's cheap ass.
I think they both did great things.
No, I think
he's thought the worst COVID moment because it was right before the sports world shut down. He touched all those reporter mics sorry.
Gobert's worth $40 million. Good for him.
That seems nice. That seems like a really nice gesture.
It does seem like a nice gesture.
I think you, Jed, with all of your newfound Venmo money, should buy everyone like a $10 Target gift card who works in the building.
Sounds good. If you guys buy me a $10 gift card, I will definitely use that $10 gift card on more gift cards. You all saw the tragic news from the NFL world about Franco Harris passing away. What do you guys remember most about Franco Harris?
Well, first, obviously the Immaculate Reception, but Cody and I have been talking off air a little bit. I feel terrible because this weekend he was going to be inducted in their Ring of Honor or have his number retired, and that's just off. He's 72. Anytime anybody passes away, it's a sad thing. But I feel terrible because His whole family was coming into town. They had this huge celebration planned.
The 50th
anniversary of the Immaculate Reception.
And everything. Everyone had big stories out and feature pieces and interviews.
He just did some interviews yesterday. And Saturday at their game against the Raiders, they were going to honor it. So I feel terrible because he didn't get to live to see his number retired. The Steelers only have what? Is it 4 numbers?
Yeah.
Something like that retired. So I just feel terrible with
and,
the timing.
He was part of one of the single greatest dynasties in NFL history. So you certainly remember any team that went through that kind of run.
And when I say I remember the Immaculate Reception, I remember the highlights.
I was going to say, none of us are even being the old man in the room. I wasn't even old
50th anniversary.
Remember the highlights, obviously.
Yes.
That's clearly what we mean.
Yeah, watching the NFL films.
That's one of those ones you wish
one,
you had another angle of.
Because we need to get moving. So what do you guys make of JT Daniels now transferring to Rice, going to his 4th school? This guy was supposed to be a highly touted recruit. He's not that good. Yeah. How much has the transfer portal jumped the shark?
He wants to go somewhere we can start. So I still
maybe be better.
I understand that, and I know there's a lot of old school coaches that say look at what's happened from some guys that they stick around the program and they try to win the job, and now kids don't stick around and they leave because they can't handle it. Look, I'm not saying that's not fair criticism, but I also do like the opportunity that the portal provides. If this kid is like, hey, I just want to start.
I'm only going to play college football for 4 years of my whole life, and I'd like to play well.
It sounds like he's played for about 6 now.
And he's willing to go a major step down from the USC days to now playing at Rice. I don't have a problem with it. The kid just wants to play football, and he's clearly not good enough to play at the high level, so he's going to go play at Rice and get a really good graduate degree at one of the better universities in the country.
Sure. We'll agree to disagree. All right, and before we wrap up...
You think he should be stuck, locked in? So that means you think coaches shouldn't be allowed to leave too, right?
Yes.
I mean, if you sign a contract, isn't that
but coaches
kind of
can leave is my point.
Right, but it's a legally binding contract. That's a different discussion.
Which you can break under really any circumstance.
Sure, and we don't have enough time to get into this pissing match between me and Alex like we like to do. So I want to give a thanks to Andrew, Garrett, Ben, Jared, Sarah, Brad, Travis, Matthew,
holy
Jacob, and my favorite, Chris, because he donated $4.20. Those were Jet Talks.
All right.
Can you get how much money are we talking here?
Jed-Marshall-3. He gets married on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
We were just asking to contribute to, his
our
honeymoon
guy
fund.
Jed, yeah.
It's up to, I think, $174.
Wow.
So,
our listeners are so generous.
All right.
You know what we're doing? We're turning that into $374.
Get a bet it all.
I like the guy who donated $100 said, it's your money, man. You bet it on whoever you want. You take that money and you put that bet on whoever you want.
This guy clearly hasn't been listening since I've been filling in because he apparently doesn't hate me because he randomly gave me $100.
Good on that guy. That's awesome. Happy holidays. Congrats
to Jed.
on getting married later on this week. All right, coming up next, 11 o'clock hour. We'll get to all 32, and there's some buzz around one team once again in the AFC West.
There's Kelsey to the end zone.
Cody and Gold brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss the Chiefs Red Half Hour every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
Santa Barkley is back, and this year he is giving new FanDuel customers exactly what you asked for. Unwrap the gift of a no-sweat first bet that's good for up to $2,500 back in free bets when you use my promo code CDOT to sign up. That's $2,500 back if your first bet doesn't win. Now is the perfect time to give FanDuel a shot. The app is easy to use, and they're giving you great promotions, and when you win, you get paid instantly. I love the same-game parlays. They have odds boosts. They have live betting that gives you the opportunity to have a feel for the game and make wagers as the game is ongoing. However you see it, I want you to check out FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook app, and get into the holiday spirit with a no-sweat first bet that's good for up to $2,500 back in free bets from Santa Barkley when you sign up using my promo code. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook app. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
I'm Dak Prescott. You know me from live TV.
And I'm a cowboy from that western you watch on demand. DirecTV brought us buckaroos together.
That's right, partner. Hey, is that a coconut?
Yep, this old ranch hand's rusting up some pina coladas.
Switch from Dish and get up to $300 in reward cards. Call 1-800-DIRECTV. Ends 1/5/23. Redemption required. New satellite customers only must submit Dish recent bill and use code SWITCH at checkout. 24-month agreement and equipment lease required. $19.95 activation. Early termination fee of $20 a month for each month remaining on agreement. Equipment non-return and additional fees apply. Restrictions apply.
Gomer's has all you need for holidays and game days. Voted Casey's #1 liquor store year after year. It's Gomer's mission to be the best in price, selection, and service. 5 convenient locations in the Casey Metro. Or shop online at gomers.com for curbside or delivery.
Old Shawnee Pizza has a Smokin' Holiday Wednesday BOGO special. Buy any medium one-topping pizza and get the second medium one-topping pizza free. Call or go online today to ShawneePizza.com to order for pickup, delivery, or eat in. Old Shawnee Pizza, 2 locations, Shawnee and Lenexa.
When temperatures drop, COVID-19 cases may rise. So if you test positive and are at high risk, act fast, even if your symptoms feel mild. Ask your provider if an authorized oral treatment could be right for you. Visit treatcovid19.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Your love isn't confined to an advent calendar. It doesn't stop when the Christmas lights come down. With the Salvation Army, your love lasts all year long. It puts a present under someone's tree today and a roof over someone's head tomorrow. It brightens Christmas morning and the hardest nights for hardworking families. Together, we love beyond Christmas. Give $25 a month to support Kansas City families all year long at lovebeyondkc.org.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you might be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you the money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com/sports, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com/sports. That's getrefunds.com/sports.
Holiday shopping is in full swing, and if jewelry is on your list, shop local at Nose Jewelry. It's E.J. Becker, and Nose Jewelry is a holiday tradition for so many of us who know and trust the team at Nose. Nose Christmas Book is the perfect way to find the perfect gift for that special someone on your list, or for yourself. You'll find the Christmas book online at nosejewelry.com or stop by the store and grab one. Nose is a locally owned, woman-owned business. Rochelle and her team will help you find the perfect gift, help you do it within your budget. You'll see what I mean when you see the Christmas book. And they'll help you create more than a smile this Christmas. They'll help you create a lasting memory. It's easy to get to Nose Jewelry in Raymore, 58 Highway, just east of 71 Highway. You'll find them online at nosejewelry.com. And please, mention EJ when you shop for Christmas at Nose.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
For contest rules for any station contest, go to 610sports.com/rules.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Congratulations to Kansas State football for bringing home the Big 12 title right here on your home for K-State Athletics, 610 Sports Radio, KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, and Odyssey Station.
11 o'clock hour here on Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp. Jed is in for Nick Schwartz, who's over in Germany. I need you guys to do a favor.
Well, we've said congrats to Jed, and people were Venmoing him at Jed-Marshall-3 because he gets married on Friday.
Yeah,
but
Jed got engaged a short while ago, and then you're now getting married, right?
It's true.
Okay.
At least I hope.
And that's the plan, at least. And Nick is over in Germany. You guys have been listening to the show. You know we've been giving him a hard time. We said, man, you better be proposing on this trip. It's around the holidays.
Christmas time
So
in
if
Europe,
you guys,
If
you guys wouldn't mind, I sent out a tweet, and maybe you guys could do the same. Either quote, tweet, reply, or just tag Nick at Nick.
Or send your own tweet, yeah.
Yeah, at Nick_Schwartz, and just tell him congratulations.
With no other context, just congrats.
I sent out a tweet. Just want to say congrats to our guy at Nick_Schwartz. Perfect place to do it. So if we can just bombard Nick Schwartz mentions with that, that would really make us all very happy.
Making him think he got engaged.
Yeah, the text line came up with the idea as well, and we liked it so much. So at Nick_Schwartz, just send him a tweet and tell him congrats, man. Just tell him congrats.
It was a little bit of a dickish move to upstage my moment, but
yeah, how dare he do that? You know,
as in not get engaged, but we're gonna act like he did.
We don't know.
That's fair. I mean, he hasn't said he didn't get engaged.
So therefore,
that's why I just want to say congrats to our guy Nick. You know,
we're just congratulating him on a nice trip to Germany.
Yeah, just go ahead and send that. I think that's nice. It's a perfect
It's a
place
nice
to do
gesture.
it. Perfect place to take a trip.
You could be congratulating him for anything. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So just send out your tweets to congratulate Nick Schwartz. On existing even, but, make it as vague as possible. That way he can think that things are taking place here, that we've broken some news that we don't have.
We'll get to all 32 in the NFL coming up in about 6 minutes or so. But there's some buzz around an AFC West team suddenly again. I feel like this happens every year towards the end of the season. Is it real this go around, though? I'm talking about the LA Chargers. LA Chargers have an 80% chance to make the playoffs. Like
they got a pretty good chance of going undefeated.
They're going to make the playoffs. They might even jump up to
the final 3 games.
They might even jump up, Cody, and be the 6th seed. There's even an outside scenario where they jump up to the 5 seed. I would prefer them not be the 7 seed. I don't think they're going to be now, based off of their schedule. But are we ready to include them at all with these other teams? Because I think we look at Kansas City, Cincy, Buffalo, Miami. But then there is, after that, a drop, right, between the Chargers. Justin Herbert, I'm not going to get back into the whole Justin Herbert versus Burrow versus Allen versus Mahomes debate.
But we know Herbert's a good quarterback.
Keenan Allen and Mike Williams being healthy is the difference for them, right? That's been the key. But then last week they beat the Titans, who are struggling big time, and they only won 14-7. They're winning close games, which is hard to do in the league, but they're not dominant.
But they're also not, you know what it is you want to talk about a team that I watch, similar to how you feel with the Chiefs sometimes, where you're like, boy, you leave some points on the board. It's the Chargers. I want to be very clear. I think the Chargers are good. I think that they can beat any of these 3 teams, Buffalo, Kansas City, or Cincinnati, in a 1-game, first-round playoff scenario. I do not think they have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. I do not think that they deserve to be in the conversation with the other 3 teams, who are the only 3 teams I think will represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. That is Cincinnati, Buffalo, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Those are the only 3 teams I think good enough to win either 2 games, if it's the Chiefs or the Bills who have the bye, or 3 games, if it's Cincinnati, the Chiefs, or the Bills, if they have to do that. The Chargers are not capable of that. Now, they're playing close games, which means they're playing worse offense somehow, but much better defense. Remember how bad their defense was earlier in the year? At least they're holding down bad offenses like Tennessee. They held Miami to 17 points, which was impressive. They held Arizona to 20, right? They're holding them in the 20s. Yep. Not letting up 30 to every single team like they were earlier in the year. But I don't believe in their coach. I don't believe in their defense enough. And while they are winning at a pretty good ratio right now, I don't have to go that far back to find the losses. I understand that they're against San Francisco and Kansas City, 2 of the better teams in the NFL. But losing that Raiders game the way they did was bad. And they had to play close, really close, against Tennessee at their absolute worst.
Would you believe
I know the Chiefs played close against Tennessee, but this is Tennessee at their worst.
Do you believe that I told you the Chargers have better odds than the Dolphins right now to win the AFC?
I think I would agree with that.
Okay. So you think they're better than the Dolphins?
I think they're the fourth best team in the AFC. I think they're definitively the fourth best team.
What makes them honest? What makes them better than the Dolphins?
I trust their quarterback situation more.
Yeah.
That very simply, that's it.
Because they both have bad defenses.
Yes. If you force me to put a team in the fourth quarter and one quarterback's got to win it, I'd rather put my hopes and dreams into Justin Herbert than I would Tua. And I think that that's really what it comes down to. Other than that, they are a little bit similar. I also think Miami's defense is worse than the Chargers. Like, as much as we kind of bang on the Chargers, I think Miami's might be worse.
Well, that's been my holdup with Miami for quite some time. Has been their defense. It reminds me of the 2018 Chiefs in particular, where we know they have the offensive firepower. We're also still waiting to see the adjustment from the Dolphins. Offense-style teams are playing them. I actually was impressed with the Dolphins going up to Buffalo. I do think
They rank really similarly, by the way. They're 25th and 26th in points allowed per game.
I don't think it's a terrible flyer to take on the Chargers, but we're all still, being in Kansas City, waiting for the Chargers to charger a little bit. And whether or not that's in a wild card game, maybe they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, the Chargers are going to end up making the playoffs. They get the Colts this week against Nick Foles.
I will say this. I think we can probably kill the AFC West as a laughingstock jokes. Like, the AFC West is not as good of a conference as we thought it was going to be. But they're going to finish this year with, I think, a 14-win Chiefs team and an 11-win Chargers team. So they're going to have 25 wins between two teams. And then the Raiders are going to be exactly where they thought we were going to be. We all thought the Raiders were average. We all thought the Raiders were like a 500 team. That's what was going to make the division. The only thing that's different in the division than where we thought it was going to be is we thought the Broncos were going to be a fringe playoff team, and they stink. The division is not a laughingstock or not leading up to expectations. One team is not. The Denver Broncos. The Chargers are close to where they were supposed to be. The Chiefs are close to where they were supposed to be. The Raiders are where I expected them to be, around a 500 football team. The Broncos stink. They're the team dragging down the rest of this.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not NFC South bad. That's the worst division in football.
Nowhere close to that. They're going to have two teams with over 11 wins.
It's not the AFC South, which is another really bad division, but it's like a middle of the pack division this year, Cody.
Here's the thing. In the AFC, how many divisions are going to finish with two teams with more than 11 wins? Only one team's going to have more than that in the AFC East, the Bills. Dolphins have 8 now. They're not winning all 3 of their remaining games, I don't think.
Yeah, there's a chance, but yeah.
There's a chance, but I don't think they will. The Chargers have the easiest remaining strength of schedule the final 3 games. So I don't think it's unreasonable to say they get to 11.
Well, we can't just base it just off of that, though. I mean, we would all acknowledge the AFC East has been the best division in the AFC. It's not even close.
Yes, because their 2 teams are 500. They are the better division. The AFC North, though, they have the same problem that the Chiefs do. Like, the Steelers have a better record than the Broncos. They're not a better team than the Broncos. They stink, too. They're better coached than the Broncos.
Yeah, I think the Steelers
They're not
are
a more
better.
talented. They're not a way more but they're a laughingstock, right? You go into those games, you assume you're going to win. I understand they have the same record as the Raiders. That's not a good football team. They're just a really well-coached football team. So that division sucks. We know it's better than the AFC South because that division stinks. We know it's better than the NFC South because that division stinks even worse. There are only a couple divisions. The AFC East, the NFC East, are the only 2 divisions that I will firmly tell you are better than the AFC West. They're not the most difficult division of all time, but I think they're the 3rd hardest division in the NFL or 4th hardest division in the NFL. They're, maybe as you put it, average.
Yeah.
But there are definitely worse divisions. The North was worse. The NFC North, the NFC South are definitely worse. The NFC West is worse because all those teams, like the Seahawks have been better than we thought, but the Rams and the Cardinals are awful. The 49ers are the only good team over there. It's a weird. I know it seems like I can't take the Chargers serious as a Super Bowl threat. I just won't.
Yeah, if you're wondering, they're 14-1 to win the AFC, and the Super Bowl odds for the Chargers right now are 29-1. They have better odds to win the Super Bowl than the Bucs, the Dolphins, the Lions, the Titans, and the Jags, and the Giants. Remember, the Giants are probably making the playoffs as well. They're 90-1. The Jags have a chance to win the division. They're 85-1, and the Titans are 60 to win right now when it comes to win the Super Bowl.
That feels right to me. Also, the Bucs Super Bowl odds were way too high for way too damn long.
31.
And finally, the odds have caught up with what they really are. A complete and utter long shot. That's where they deserve to be. The Bucs win the Super Bowl. That would be stunning information.
What's more stunning, the Chargers winning it or the Bucs winning it?
Bucs. They're the way worse team, man. I know it's Brady, but they're not a good team.
The reason why I still think it'd be the Chargers is because that would require the Chargers to
go through Cincinnati, through Kansas
and
City,
Herbert's first year in the postseason, they would have to beat potentially Allen, Mahomes, and Burrow. Whereas on the NFC side, the Bucs might have to beat Dak, Kirk
Eagles.
Cousins and Jalen Hurts.
It doesn't seem.
And Jalen Hurts coming off an injury, Jalen Hurts, which we, so the Chargers would still be far more surprising for me, at least. All right, let's get to all 32, though, in the NFL, presented by Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. Is that that's the Amazon Thursday night theme,
Well,
right?
I just had to find some NFL music.
That's the Thursday night theme. Which, is it growing on you?
I like it.
Yeah,
I liked it from the beginning. I think it's good.
I actually think the Thursday night Amazon Prime, the crew that they have, not just Herb Street and Michaels, but the post-game and pre-game,
good crew.
Richard Sherman's really good on it. I think Andrew Whitworth's fantastic. Ryan Fitzpatrick. Honestly, unfortunately, I hate to say this in Kansas City, but I think Tony Gonzalez is the worst guy on the entire panel after the game. The worst guy on the panel.
He's been the worst on TV for a long time. I don't see what that's
He did get fired from Fox.
Carissa Thompson.
Well, he came on the show recently, and Gold got to talk to his childhood hero. It's hard.
My favorite Chiefs player as a kid, by far. But I'll admit, he's the worst one on the panel there after and post-game. Anyway, that's not my point of this.
You had mentioned the quarterback play in the NFC. This is absolutely wild when you think about, we can go to the AFC and do the same thing, and you're about to get drastically different results. Are you ready for where the quarterbacks who are currently in the NFC playoffs were drafted as of right now? The highest pick, Daniel Jones, number 6 overall, right? Totally normal. Number 6 overall pick. He's the worst quarterback probably in the field. Jalen Hurts was a second-round pick. That's the second highest pick out of anyone currently in the field. Kirk Cousins, 4th-round pick. Brock Purdy was a 7th-round pick. Tom Brady, a 6th-round pick. Dak Prescott, a 4th. And Taylor Heineke, undrafted. The average round pick to take a quarterback who's going to be in the NFC playoff field is a late 5th. There's an undrafted guy. There's a guy who's the last pick in the NFL draft, a couple of 4ths. This defies all NFL logic, doesn't it? Because if you talk about where you normally assume NFL teams are going to make their hay, you assume they were picked in the first round. Take, for instance, the AFC playoff field. Oh, Tua, number 1 pick. Josh Allen, 1st-round pick. Patrick Mahomes, 1st-round pick. Justin Herbert, 1st-round pick. It ain't that hard. Just go through every single team you think is going to be in the Lamar Jackson was a late 1st-round pick. Go through every team that's going to be in the AFC playoffs, and shocker to find out that even Ryan Tannehill, a 1st-round pick. The NFC is doing it with nothing. It doesn't make any sense.
But isn't that why we also think the NFC is so wide open?
Yes.
I should say that wrong. So the AFC is wide open to a certain extent because of the talent. The NFC, I think people say it's wide open because there's not. Does that make sense? Both can be true. The AFC is wide open because of the talent, but the NFC is also wide open because you're looking at Taylor Heineke's and Daniel Jones's and Kirk Cousins.
Oh, my God. It's every single AFC. I was just thinking about that. I think every single one was taken in the first round. Allen, Mahomes, Burrow, Tannehill, Lamar Jackson, and Justin Herbert. They're all first-round picks.
Turns out that's usually the formula for finding great ones, right?
Yeah, weird. But it strikes me that
busts in there as well. But
the dichotomy of it to me is just shocking. That you could see that in the NFC, and then every single quarterback in the playoffs in the AFC side right now was a 1st-round pick. It's just crazy.
We know the favorite to be the defensive rookie of the year is Sauce Gardner with the Jets, who still have a chance to make the postseason. They have a huge game tomorrow night. The Jets are taking on Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jets have to have that game. The Jaguars trying to continue to put all kinds of pressure on the Tennessee Titans for the AFC South. But Sauce Gardner, who is awesome, he's upset right now, though, because he was not targeted last week against the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff did not throw his way. 38 coverage snaps, not targeted once. Quote, I wasn't targeted yesterday, not once. I don't know what their mentality is or mindset is when they go up against us, but yesterday I wasn't targeted. I take that kind of personally. I actually wanted to make a bigger and better impact on the game, especially going against my hometown team. I didn't get targeted, so I didn't get that opportunity. He said, quote, definitely it is a huge sign of respect, but if I catch the ball and I get a pick 6, I could put up some points on the board. I love this from a corner. Like, you're so damn good, they don't want to throw your direction, and then you're taking it personally after the game because you wanted to make a bigger impact. Sauce Gardner's the real deal. I think we've all discovered that already. They've done a great job drafting some young players there recently if you're the Jets. Obviously, unfortunately, the quarterback's still a huge question mark for them. But Breece Hall, Sauce Gardner, Quinn Williams is turning out to be a pretty good player for them as well. But Sauce Gardner, I love the comments after the game from him. Upset that Jared Goff didn't throw his way.
Seems reasonable. He wants to have an impact. Although, in fairness, if they just never throw your way, it's much easier to play defense. If you that's why the Jets, just eliminate one whole half, one whole wide receiver. It's great news. Jed, did you come prepared for an All-32 today?
I did. I didn't know if you were going to toss it to me or
no,
not.
you know what? Please, go ahead.
Cody Benjamin from CBS Sports put out a list of the most important in-season moves, the top 10, including the Bills, Chiefs, and Eagles. I just want your guys' thoughts on which of these moves was the most important. The Eagles signing Linval Joseph, the Bills incorporating more James Cook, or the Chiefs featuring more Jerick McKinnon?
So I think it's clearly the two running backs, and I think the answer to me actually is going to be Jerick McKinnon because if he stays healthy, even before this last 3-week surge of his involvement in the passing game, he's vital for them on third down pass protection, and really in general pass protection. He's one of the best pass blocking running backs in the entire league. So I think it's him, and now we're starting to see him more involved in the receiving game. I do think Cook, though, has been a nice boost for Buffalo, working him in with Singletary. So I think it's both the running backs, but I'll go Jerick McKinnon because of the pass protection.
I think it is McKinnon. Cook is a big, and Linval just not bad, but they are already a very deep defensive line, and they just got deeper. I think in the Chiefs' case and in Cook's cases, that was a part of the offense that hadn't come together yet. Like they were trying to throw it to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but it wasn't there. And Jerick McKinnon was on the field less because they were trying to use 3 running backs. So when CEH stopped playing as much because of the injury, they found a perfect balance between the two. Jerick McKinnon has fundamentally made their offense easier to function because if everyone's going to drop everyone back, that's what we said for years. You're going to drop everyone back. What are you going to do? Okay, great. Well, then just throw it to the backs. And Jerick McKinnon's such a good pass catcher that we've seen a massive difference between the two.
That's all 32 in the NFL, presented by Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric.
We wanted to do on the fact that the Colts are starting yet another starting quarterback. If you missed it, by the way, the Colts have announced Nick Foles. Old friend Nick Foles will be starting Monday night against the Chargers for the Indianapolis
Super
Colts.
Bowl champion and MVP Nick Foles, okay?
Do you remember all that time there was like a big faction of Chiefs fans who were like, cut Alex Smith, start Nick Foles. He's cheaper and just as good or better. I also think that's just inaccurate. I know Nick Foles accomplished what he accomplished. Did you at any point think that Nick Foles was a better quarterback than Alex Smith?
No.
I mean, who has more Super Bowl championships, I guess, is really...
Nick Foles.
Well, okay. So, ipso facto.
That's what we're judging this off of?
Isn't that how we do it all? I mean, what's the
Nick
argument
Foles
about
has had an
Bill Russell?
Incredible career for Nick Foles, man. Incredible run.
How many different teams has he started for now?
How much do you think he's made in his career? What's your guess?
80 million?
He's got the ring and all that as well.
80, 90 million?
You're pretty right on it, man. 86 mil at the end of this season. 86 mil. He's scheduled to make 3.6
I'm good at this
million.
game, apparently.
Yeah, 86 mil. The most money he ever made. The Eagles in 2018, $12 million, and then the Bears in 2020 for $12 million. Oh, I missed 1 year. That's right. I forgot the Jags. Thought he was the real deal, Cody. Remember?
Oh, they paid him
Forgot that. $30 million in 1 year from the Jags. Forgot about that one. He got a $25 million signing bonus from the Jags after he, of course, won the Super Bowl for the Eagles. That seems like ages ago.
I know. Yeah, and we've had Mahomes here too long that we're like the desperation other teams have at quarterback seems laughable to us now. And it's exactly the position Kansas City was in for so long. You're like, that's nice.
It is. I agree with our guy Paul Charging of Guillotine Leagues, who's going to join you guys tomorrow at 1 o'clock. He said he says he feels bad for Matt Ryan. Lots of things went wrong last week. It's not like Matt Ryan threw the game away. They were up 33-0. Matt Ryan was playing good, and then that's why you got to put the blame on somebody. How about the play calling as well? Like when you blow a 33-0 lead, it's not just Matt Ryan's fault. Poor Matt Ryan's been involved in some of the greatest comebacks, and now the greatest comeback in NFL history. It's pretty wild. We all know the Super Bowl 28-3. You add in the 33-0 lead against the Vikings.
He has blown some pretty big leads over the course of his career. Not a good thing to be famous for. Though he does have that one MVP, right?
Yeah. 2016?
The year they went to the Super Bowl and blew the
16 or 17
lead, probably.
One of those years.
He's had, for obviously Matt Ryan, you can do a lot worse at quarterback over the course of careers than have Matt Ryan's. It just feels like at the tail end here, he can't do enough to do it. Not that Nick Foles can, but they got to be right back to finally drafting a quarterback rather than do the other.
They do. I'm still back to where we were before he got the starting job again, Matt Ryan, which is they're probably praying that he retires. He's still next year, his cap hits $18 million, but if they cut him, it's $24 million. And then the following year, excuse me, take that back. I read the numbers wrong. $35 million cap hit next year, Cody, and $18 million in dead cap. If he doesn't retire, they got $35 million on the books, or they can cut him in for $18.
I'd probably cut him for $18. I mean, come on, man.
They
You
gotta
can't
hope
pay
he
him
retires.
$35 million.
They got to hope he retires.
How many of these teams just going to hope their quarterback retires?
What else? I mean, if you're Matt Ryan, do you retire? Or do you say force them to cut him and get your money?
I'd force them to cut me and pay me my $18 million. Are you kidding?
I think so.
I'll back you up for $35 million. You make your call. I'm not going to make it for you. That's for sure.
And that's where, I think Chris Ballard would be hired immediately if he got fired. But that's where, at some point, man, you got to take some responsibility. Nobody could have predicted Andrew Luck calling it quits right after you took over. I get that. You built the team in other areas. You thought you had the quarterback solidified. But still, you've been trying to trade for and sign the same quarterback for 3 straight years. Phillip Rivers and Carson Wentz and Matt Ryan, and they've all blown up in your face, man.
It's bad. It's what's going to get him fired. It gets every GM and head coach fired, right? It'll always be the quarterback.
Coming up next, we get to the Chiefs' red half hour. Thinking of former MVPs, Patrick Mahomes, where does this season actually rank? Might be better than you think.
You're listening to Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss Alex's That Betting Show every Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Right here on 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app.
There's no place like home for the holidays. And when it comes to holiday spirits, there's no place like your hometown Lucas Wine and Spirit Superstore. It's hard to choose the perfect bottle of holiday cheer when you don't have a choice. That's not a problem at Lucas. 6,000 different wines and the largest selection of beer, craft whiskeys, fine spirits, and holiday gift packs between Dallas and Chicago. Planning a holiday party? Our event planners have you covered at lucaskc.com, where you can also find gift cards and our extensive tastings calendar. Your gift always goes farther at Lucas, because when you sell as much beer, wine, and fine spirits in a week as some stores sell in a year, you can sell it all for less, much less. We can even deliver on the Missouri side. Find your holiday spirits at locally owned Lucas Wine and Spirit Superstore in the Northland, Overland Park, and South KC.
Lucas Wine and Spirit Superstore in the glass by itself.
Right now at Old Navy, grab gifts starting at just $2. There's only a few days left to shop, so run to Old Navy for incredible gifts starting at just $2. Don't miss these awesome deals on gifts at Old Navy. Valid 12/16 through 12/24. Select styles only.
Are you still looking for the perfect holiday gift? You know what I'm talking about. The one that gets passed around the room and you hear a lot of oohs and ahs? Then come to Shane Company. We put so much love and care into the fine jewelry we create. Our classic styles are true treasures. With our expertise and attention to detail, they can be handed down to the next generation and look as beautiful as the day you bought them. They're a great investment. We have diamond tennis bracelets, classic solitaire pendants, and styles with cultured pearls. Our diamond stud earrings make a wonderful holiday gift because they'll never lose that amazing sparkle. We have a wide range of shapes and carat weights to choose from, so it'll be easy to find studs in your price range. We also offer studs in a variety of colorful gemstones. And with Shane Company's generous upgrade policy, you can upgrade your studs at any time. Visit us in store or shop online and enjoy free 2-day shipping. It's never too late to give a gift they'll treasure forever.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
Hey, it's Derek Johnson, and I know there's nothing better than being a part of a team, a group of great people you can count on and learn from. The Sheet Metal Workers Local Number 2 are growing their team and looking for quality men and women who want to build Kansas City's future. While you're making KC a better place, you'll also get great pay and benefits while gaining lifelong skills. Explore the possibilities at sheetmetal2.org. That's sheetmetal2.org. And take a step towards a fulfilling and rewarding way of life.
Inside the Huddle with Cody and Gold, each day from noon till 1 on 610 Sports Radio. Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue KC. Live healthy with Blue KC on the official radio partner of the Kansas City Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So, what do you provide? Cookie cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game in a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Santa's Little Helpers are making their way from the North Pole to Twin Peaks. Join us December 20th through the 24th for our Red Hot costume party. We'll have specials on our favorite drafts, cocktails, and more. Merry Christmas from all of us at Twin Peaks.
At Max Motors, buying a new car, truck, or SUV is easy. Buying a new or pre-owned vehicle with zero money down, 0 payments for 4 months, and the lowest interest rates available. Hurry in with over 1,000 vehicles in stock and ready for delivery. MaxMotors.com. See dealer for details.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Starting trouble. No one likes that. We'll get you set up for some stronger starts. You might just need a fresh charge, and we'll take care of that free of charge. But if it is time for a new battery, we've got replacement batteries that'll fit your needs, starting at just $79.99. You can learn more about our battery selection at AutoZone.com. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2021.
Coming to Peacock.
Fellas, I'm getting married.
From the creator of The Best Man and The Best Man Holiday.
Come with us to Quinn's wedding. Guaranteed to put a smile on your face.
And executive producer of Insecure.
They want to make unfinished business into a movie.
That book caused a lot of drama. Get your popcorn ready.
It's gonna be just like old times, only better. The Best Man, the final chapters. A new limited series streaming December 22nd, only on Peacock.
Let's get lit!
Hi, I'm your unused PTO. It's almost the end of the year, and if you don't put me on a timesheet, I will be gone forever. Use me or lose me. Let's get away.
It's getaway time. Get our best deals of the season on a new Hyundai. It's your journey. Own every mile at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Now get 0% APR, 0 payments for 90 days, and $500 bonus cash on select vehicles. Hurry to your local Hyundai dealer now during the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Offer ends 1/3/23. Call 1-562-314-4603 for complete offer details.
Continued cloudy this afternoon with a high of 36.
Weather brought to you by Macy's. It's Macy's last minute gift sale with great presents and gift cards. Shop early and late and pick up curbside or in store. Plus, spend your Macy's money on anything. No merchandise exclusions.
This hour of Chiefs coverage is brought to you by IHOP. One long wintry night, we put hot cinnamon apples on top of the thickest and fluffiest French toast available at IHOP. Try our new thick and fluffy ginger snap apple French toast today. Part of our holiday menu. Let's put a smile on your plate for a limited time at participating locations.
Chiefs Red Half Hour, every day at 11:30 on Cody and Gold.
Chiefs Red Half Hour brought to you by Greenway Ford. It's a new day, a new way at the all-new Greenway Ford. Reminder, K-State basketball this afternoon. They're taking on Radford, and so the game tips off at 1:30, which means pregame is on the air 1 hour from now, so kind of a weird show. Usually this doesn't happen until baseball season, but we're off the air a little early today, and the drive will be on a little late today because of some K-State basketball here on 610 Sports
Gold
Radio.
wants you to send tweets to Nick just to say congrats.
Yeah, Nick
not that anything's happened. Just say congrats because we want him to think that we have spread this.
We've done a great job.
Yeah, at Nick_Schwert. He's in Germany. It's around the holidays. It's just him and his girlfriend, and so just tell him congrats, and tell him it's a great decision, At Nick_Schwert.
I'm proud of him. Really.
I am too.
Finally grown up.
Perfect place to do it.
How long before we get a text from him saying, "What the hell's wrong with you guys?"
Send him the champagne emoji bottle as well.
That's what Jet did that, yeah.
The champagne emoji bottle. Oh, that's such a good one.
Also, since it's the holiday season, And we know FanDuel is the sports book here at 610. If you go on your FanDuel app right now, just saying you have like 10 minutes left to do it, but you might want to log in, and then at the top it'll say like Kay Adams, Up and Adams, her new show, and there's a button that says claim, and you might get a $5 free bet. You might want to do that. Hint, hint, hint. It expires in 10 minutes.
So how would you do this again, Alex, if you wouldn't mind explaining it a little bit more clearly?
Hop on your FanDuel app, log in. Right there at the top, the bar that you kind of scroll through. Look for the orange logo that has a picture of Kay Adams' face.
Kay Adams.
Mm-hmm. And there should be a button that says claim. Now, not everybody's account will have it.
Mine had it.
Mine had it. Specs had it.
Bet.
And claim, and you should get a $5 free bet. You don't have to use the bet today. You have 7 days to do it, but you have to claim the bet within the next, 9 minutes.
My general philosophy, by the way,
You're
on
welcome.
$5 free bets is to place it on a long shot parlay to win like $100 or $200, right?
Yeah.
This ends up being like a 7 or 8 legger, to be clear.
Why not, man?
$5 free bet. Really try to turn it into something. We don't. None
Are you just
of
gonna
us
put
want to have
money-
to resort to robbing banks. So
No.
let's just take that $5 free bet. Let's gamble it that way instead.
Are you?
I'm going to the bank today, not to rob it. Just
excuse
going
me?
to the bank.
Oh my God!
Just a normal trip to the
Did
bank.
you turn on your tracking device so we can find out if this is legitimately what's
I
happening?
will not turn on the tracking on my phone. I've told you I stand strongly against that. It's just a normal trip to the bank. I just got to get some cash.
I couldn't tell you the last time I went inside of a bank.
I need small bills.
What the hell are you doing?
Putting it that way makes
Dude,
it sound
the
worse,
trip,
too.
the trip to the strip club.
I was
is
gonna say
the trip to the strip club is not till after the season. Guillotine League, when it's over, then the whole league is going to a local strip club. And you said you would go. You've never been to one before, so I don't know. You don't need the ones yet, man. You
We
can
have
wait.
a
You got about a month.
16-year tradition of getting together to play a game called In Between where we drink and gamble all night. And I need some singles for that. So I got to go inside. You can't just tell the ATM, give me $200 in ones.
No.
Why couldn't you get a 20 and then just go to a gas station and buy a pack of gum and get back? Can I have?
But I need people. Other people forget to buy
hundreds of
ones, and because I'm hosting it, I need to make sure I have enough ones for everybody. So I need a few $100s in ones.
Thanks again for that invite, by the way.
Again, you're getting married that day.
Irrelevant.
We told people to send you money on Venmo as a congratulations for your nuptials
And
on
it's
Friday.
worked.
But I
and
want
it's
to
worked,
win
so I've given
money
you that.
at your gambling.
Well,
party.
you are more than welcome to come with your bride, and you guys can come together.
We're not doing that.
And gamble with us at the,
I just
tap
want the
household.
invitation. I want to turn it down so that you know that I'm
okay.
better than you.
Gold turned it down.
I got the invite.
I know,
got
but
the
Alex
invite.
is smart because he's taking vacation and stuff like that. He doesn't want to leave his house.
I also didn't invite Nick because I knew that, he was going to be in
Wow.
Germany.
That was a Richard move.
He's going to be in Germany.
But
he
the
can't come.
invite is the point.
It's on Friday. I know he won't be in town.
In fairness, I was already scheduled to take off this weekend. I didn't take off because I didn't like the cold weather. I already was scheduled off. It just happened to work out perfectly.
Because you didn't want to go to Cody's gambling party?
That's what it is. I said, man, I'm going to tell him that I'm on vacation. I don't want to drive up there. No. He invited me a while back, but I will not be going. And I know you're very much.
Have you
looking
ever
forward to
made? You should make it one year. You like degenerative gambling, which is
I do.
exactly what In Between is.
I have to balance out my degenerative behavior, though. It's one thing. I can't do NFTs and sports bet and poker. I don't make enough money to be blowing money on 3 different things at once.
I'm just saying, make a few less sports bet for 1 week and show up to my thing.
Kind of enjoy.
I'm
going
going to give away a listener spot to our In Between gambling game.
Wow.
We'll just do that. No Jed, no you. I'll give away your seat at the table to one lucky person.
Okay.
You don't know that I'm not showing up.
You said you weren't.
I know, but that's the mystery of it.
All right.
So how about this red half hour, guys?
How about it?
Hey, if you haven't been here for a while, the Chiefs Red Half Hour is the most derailed 30 minutes of this entire show.
I mean, we can talk about Patrick Mahomes perhaps having the best season of his NFL career. I know he won the MVP already in 2018 where he had 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards. But right now he is just about 500 yards away with 3 to go from 5,000 yards.
How many stars do you think on this team besides him?
What's that?
Just him and Kelsey? Do you think there's a single other offensive star on this team?
No. Star? No.
Look around the other.
That's what's amazing about it. Yeah, he's got 35 touchdowns already. He's doing it without Tyreek Hill. To your point, he's doing it with multiple options. This was the conversation all offseason was, are they deeper at wide receiver? Not better, but are they deeper? Can Mahomes elevate talent around him? And I'm not trying to take anything away from the season that Juju Smith-Schuster's having. But looking at the wide receiver core, to your point, where other than Kelsey, what other star per se do they have in the passing game? The answer is they don't. And so Patrick Mahomes doing this in a year where he's playing in the toughest schedule in football, one of the toughest schedules in football. Defenses continue to try to show him different looks. He's had to adapt and play his game differently, take what's there. We just gave you the stat earlier about how this team, long sustained drives, which maybe is also leading to some of these turnovers. But Patrick Mahomes was essentially perfect on Sunday as well. 20 straight completions, 4 incompletions.
One of those was dropped
on Saturday, against Seattle. He's got a chance to break the NFL record for consecutive completions. They'll have that tracked the first 5, 6, 7 passes. I think he needs 6 passes, right? 6 completions.
But just look at this. There's so many reasons just beyond your eyeballs. The Chiefs lead the NFL in points per game, yards per play, and third down conversion rate. The last team to do that in the NFL was the greatest show on turf. So let's compare them already to one of the single greatest offenses of all time. Now look, that offense scored more points than the Chiefs did, right? They led in those categories, and they led in them. But Kurt Warner, a Hall of Famer, was surrounded by Marshall Faulk, a Hall of Famer, and Isaac Bruce, a Hall of Famer, and Torrey Holt and Orlando Pace. Like, I'm listing off a who's who of who ended up in the Hall of Fame from the early 2000s, right? These are legitimately great players. And look, the text line's like, Creed's a star. All right, fine. Maybe one day we'll be talking about Creed Humphrey as a future Hall of Famer, and I can talk about this conversation. But I can promise you that outside of Travis Kelce, there is not a single other Hall of Famer on this offense. Not a single other guy. Joe Tooney, Orlando Brown, like those guys aren't ending up in the Hall of Fame. Isaiah Pacheco's not going to the Hall of Fame one day, I don't think. That would have to take a very serious turn of events over the next Juju Smith-Schuster, whatever. It's 2 guys, man. And Mahomes, the biggest catalyst. I get it. He has the best tight end in NFL history. But he's doing this without Tyreek Hill, and he's still leading in every single major statistical category in the NFL. He's going to beat everyone in yards and in touchdowns and in yards per play and in third down conversion. He's going to do it without a wide receiver that is on pace for 1,900 yards receiving this year.
I'm with you on the star argument. I don't know if I'll go as far as like going down like the Hall of Fame path and comparing how I'm with you that the star thing makes it impressive. I'll push back on the Hall of Fame because let's go look at the AFC right now. Tell me how many Hall of Famers Josh Allen has around him, how many Hall of Famers Tua has around him, how many Hall of Famers Joe Burrow has around him.
No, but I just mean to be able to do those things and to be missing out. Now Tua's probably got. Tyreek Hill's on a Hall of Fame path, so he's got one just like that.
1-1, but it's not like it's not like he has 2. We'll see.
Probably not.
Unless you think Waddle's just going to blow up, and it's so early in his career.
The Bills would have had more when on the defensive side when they had Von Miller going.
Sure, but if we're just talking about offense, Joe Burrow, we'll see what those guys all end up being. There's way too early in their career to find out what Jamar Chase is.
But the difference is, you're right. Those teams also don't have any Hall of Famers around them. Maybe one, right? Maybe you just be like, oh, maybe Stephon Diggs will get in there one day. Whatever, doesn't matter. If you choose the one guy that you think is there, the difference is, all of them have the equal amount of Hall of Famers, like 1 or 0. And Mahomes is leading them all. Now that the field's even, he's still better than all of you. To me, a lot of this is, normally we see peak quarterback play about 28 to 31 because they both know everything and are still physically gifted enough to do everything. And I think that's what we're seeing in Mahomes. This has been a more impressive season than his first MVP year. And look, he might end up winning an MVP this year too. So we'll just be comparing the 2 MVP seasons from Patrick Mahomes. But I've never seen him play better than this. I've never seen him play better football than he's playing right now. Doesn't this feel like the best version of him? Which makes it feel that somehow softens the blow a little bit for me going into the postseason. For as much as we talked about the vibe didn't feel right going into it right now, the one difference is one guy's vibe is very good. Mahomes. He's great.
Well, this is why
he's playing his best football.
This is why, now that the quarterback that had the narrative maybe going for him because he was fresh and new and Jalen Hurts is no longer the favorite, and of course it's related to the injury. But now, and you look at Mahomes and compare him to everybody else, how on earth can you not say Patrick Mahomes is the MVP, knowing that he's going to play in all 17 games and Jalen Hurts is not. And then if you look at the stats, and I know it's not simply a statistical award, but my goodness, is he going to blow everybody out of the water when it comes to his stats compared to Hurts and Burrow and Allen? And if Mahomes somehow ends up with the 1 seed, meaning the Bills lose to Cincinnati, then it's really case closed. Really, at that
If they end up as the number 1 seed in a year in which they were finally supposed to concede the division, Gold, and I know that you're one person's opinion versus like the people who vote on this award. Not, although I've seen Aaron Schatz make a very strong argument that Mahomes deserves to be the MVP.
Yeah, he's one of 50
And I
voters.
happen to know that he's one of the voters for the MVP because we got him on the show to try to convince him to make Creed Humphrey Rookie of the Year last season. But like before the season, I kind of go back to the way you felt going into it, which was, I don't think an uncommon thought. Now, I think Nick pushed back a little bit, or I'm like, hey, I wouldn't say it's 0% chance, but you're like, the Chiefs can't get the 1 seed, was your prevailing thought. Yeah. And that was unreasonable because of the situation, what they had lost, and what they're going to go into.
Well, it was more about that take was about the division.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now, and the division's not as weak as it's not as strong as we think it is, but it's also not as weak as we thought it was, I don't know, week 5 of the NFL season. There's a pretty good chance the Chiefs are going to finish 14 wins, and yet still there'll be a team in this division who lost to the Chiefs twice, finish with 11. Which means in all of their other games, there's a pretty good chance that the Chargers are going to win this schedule out, and they will finish in the games outside of Kansas City 11-4. They will win almost all their games in which they're not playing the Chiefs. So it's just...
No, he owns them. I mean, he simply owns them.
He owns the AFC.
The hope is that...
Keep him out of the AFC title game, then you can start talking trash to him.
The hope is, of course, that
either
you don't play Cincy or for the first time, because at some point he's going to beat Joe Burrow. The hope is, all right, if you got to play him in the AFC title game or the divisional round, okay, make it 3-1, and that'll be the one that matters more than the 2 regular season losses. Who will give it? Nobody will care at that point.
No.
But, man, that story, like, it feels like at some point they're going to have to square off again in this postseason. Later, hopefully.
If they want to win the Super Bowl, they're going to have to beat Cincinnati, I feel like.
Feels like it.
I don't know how they're going to dodge
it'll be interesting to see the narrative shift depending on how Cincy and Buffalo look when they play each other in 2 weeks. If one of those teams looks dominant over the other, then it'll be really curious. But if Cincinnati beats Buffalo, I still think right now they're playing as good as anybody Cincy is.
You should already not want to play them the most. If they beat Buffalo, then you should really not want to have to play them. You got to pray, because that would put you in line for the 1 seed, great. And you got to pray that Buffalo and Cincinnati square off again in the divisional round, and that's a them problem.
Yeah,
and that Buffalo is the winner.
Yeah, I mean, in that scenario, the Chiefs are the 1, Buffalo's the 2 or the 3 actually.
They're the 2 and the 3. Yeah.
Yeah, and they play 2. They would play the 2-3 matchup in the divisional round. You would play
whoever wins Miami or Baltimore or the Chargers or whoever that isn't those 2 teams.
And you would host an AFC title game in that scenario as long as you took care of business against either most likely Buffalo or, in that case, Buffalo or Cincinnati, and we're right back to the same spot that everybody thought.
In that case, you're hoping it's Buffalo.
Unbelievable.
Feels gross to root for Cincinnati in that game, but you should.
You should be, yeah.
Because the number 1 overall pick in this year's AFC feels kind of important. It's not the old Tennessee has the number 1, is the number 1 seed. Because if it's not you, it's Buffalo, and that's not what you want.
There's something that's being discussed in the NFL, and this will be an off-season problem. We know the trade deadline this year was pretty fun, right? 10 trades, 12 players. By far the most on a trade deadline in 30 years, including Bradley Chubb and Chase Claypool on the move, even T.J. Hawkinson, who ended up coming with the big catch in the Vikings win this past weekend. That 24, 32 owners have to approve this, but they're thinking about pushing the trade deadline back 2 weeks. I think as someone that's in Kansas City and knowing that the Chiefs are going to be one of these elite teams for quite some time with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid together along with Kelsey, I like this. Now, maybe on the flip side, you say, oh, well, that allows other teams to catch up, quote unquote. I don't know. I like the idea of the trade deadline being extended because to me, it can only benefit you. Let's say it extends 2 more weeks and all of a sudden you have an injury that happens. You have 2 more weeks now to try to solve that problem versus, hey, someone gets hurt the week after the trade deadline and it can potentially derail your season. Do you like the trade deadline where it's at? Because I'm for the trade deadline getting pushed back a couple
as late
weeks.
as possible.
Yeah,
Baseball had this conversation. It's crazy. It does 2 things. Pushing the trade deadline back forces teams to evaluate themselves longer before deciding to sell, which means they could get hot, hypothetically, convince themselves to play longer. That's great news. But it also gives teams, like you said, the Chiefs, more teams to fall out of the mix.
More teams to fall, and you can
and more time to make deals.
Stack your roster even more if you want. I mean, the trade deadline used to be week 6. Then in 2012, they bumped it up to week 8, which is where it currently stands. So bump it back to week 10. We have an 18-week schedule now. Bump it back to week 10. At minimum, week 9, right? Go to week 9. We're playing 18 weeks.
We're talking about halfway through the season. What's the issue here? Week 8's too early. There's week 18. There's still 60% of the schedule left. Why wouldn't you want it later? Jay, you're shaking your head. Would you prefer that it be the same time it is now?
Yeah, I think that's probably the most reasonable thing. I get your guys' point about being a contender and wanting to see how the chips may fall or whatever, but to me, I don't think that there's any issue. I guess as a fan of the Chiefs and being a competitive team year in, year out, Alex, like you were talking about, I almost think it's a disadvantage to a certain extent because it does give teams a chance to load up, and come at you as the playoffs approach.
I think this is something that most of the owners would probably support, don't you? I mean, they've pushed it back before. It's not, and maybe it reaches a certain time where they think, hey, this is too far. But it was week 6. They had no problem pushing it back 2 more weeks in 2012. Now it's been 10 years of this format. They're going to revisit it. Maybe they don't go 2 weeks. Maybe they go a week. I think
especially knowing that you're eventually going to 18 regular season games, you might as well just get ahead of this and push it back. You have to push everything back. All of this stuff. All the rules that give you a chance to make teams better or extend it. Like I like that you could put more players on IR and return them. It seems silly to me that before, if you had to you had to either hold a roster spot for a player who wasn't returning, or you could do the reasonable thing. Activate a player for 4 weeks, let them play, and then make a decision on a guy down the road when you were doing it with Blake Bell. For the longest time, when you couldn't reactivate those players off the injured reserve, it didn't make sense. I want the best teams going into it. I want a chance. I don't want one injury to derail it. Let's say Von Miller. Let's say he gets hurt in week 10, Gold. And now you have, because Von Miller got hurt after the trade deadline this year. What if 2 weeks later, Gold, he had gotten hurt? Don't you want that team to have a chance to still be competitive? For one injury, not to derail their season? It sucks. It happens in sports. But to give a team a chance to make a different decision, to target another player, to go out and get another pass rusher, I like the competitive balance of it. I don't know that it helps Kansas City more than other teams, but I like the competition part of it.
Do you guys think that we know deadline spurs action? So let's say they bumped it back 2 weeks. Do you think you'd actually get that player just for less now?
Yeah, in Major League Baseball, it works that way. The closer to the trade deadline you trade for him, the less you pay because it's the less time you get.
That's what I'm wondering. Would it impact the compensation, but also is that a bad thing? Because we know you can trade at any time up until the deadline, but because of the way deadlines work, if it's, let's say, week 10 now, would we see trades happen in week 8, or would everybody just wait till week 10 and suddenly all of a sudden it's actually worse because now you're trading for a guy that you're only getting for 8 games or for 6 games, 7 games?
If your team knows out of it, you got to try to push those trades earlier. This is exactly how Major League Baseball does it. Yes, most of them happen closer to the trade deadline. Some happen earlier because those teams who know they're good and want the help start seeking the help early. It buys you more time. I think it might encourage more trades too. It's just more time. More time to think about trades, more time to have conversations with teams about trades. It's more like it is per action. This is one of the best NFL trade deadlines ever. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Most active, at least, in 30 years. Guys like Hawkinson, Calvin Ridley, who couldn't even play this year, but Calvin Ridley got traded. Chase Claypool was one of the bigger names. Bradley Chubb was probably the biggest move with the Broncos sending him to Miami, and Bradley Chubb hasn't done a whole lot for the Dolphins since that trade, at all.
Dave Toe, by the way, is talking to the media about the Butker stuff, and he's like, or the Colquitt stuff. He said he's a Butker fan, most importantly. So, he's like, he's defending his guy, so let's just start there. And then followed up by saying that he knows that it's detailed, but he doesn't need Dustin Colquitt to make adjustments. He doesn't need to hear from Dustin Colquitt to make adjustments.
Yeah, I don't need to hear from Dustin to make adjustments. He emphasized he wants everyone to relax when it comes to Harrison Butker. Dave Tobe going with the Aaron Rodgers relax.
Honestly, that is the worst thing to hear when you are nervous about something. Like Jed's freaking out about his wedding. Just relax, Jed. You're like, I'm not relaxed. I'm nervous.
I'm actually pretty calm.
No, I'm just saying I was using that as an example of not a good time to tell someone to relax. If you were freaking out about it, just telling it's the stop hitting yourself argument. When people are upset, just saying, hey man, just calm down. Nobody wants to hear that. Fix it. Right. I'll calm down, Dave. I'll calm down about Harrison Butker when he starts making kicks through the uprights. I'll make a deal with you. He starts making kicks, and I'll calm down about it.
Relax, Cody. Chill out.
That's not a strength of mind.
Look, I think it's been pretty clear based on Dave Tobe's comments and hearing Andy Reid yesterday. They clearly, inside that organization, not happy that Dustin Colquitt's talking about their kicking game.
Yeah, he would like to keep that
because Dustin Colquitt kicked for 17 years, so people he knows what he's talking about. I don't doubt that one bit.
And he kicked for this team under Dave Tobe.
It's one of those
he
where-
held for this team under Dave Tobe.
It's one of those where normally, their MO is like, we saw the tweet from Tommy where it's like, Andy Reid always tells us, the people on the outside don't know what the hell they're talking about. Normally you can be like, well, it's just
You can claim that Alex doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah.
Sure.
People do all the time. But not when Dustin Colquitt's talking about. He's a guy punted for 17 years.
For you
Yes.
in this system.
Anyway, that's the Chiefs Red Half Hour. Up next, we'll get to what's trending and the best thing to be great at for this offense.
This is Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss Royals first baseman / NFL insider, Vinny Pasquantino. This football season with Cody and Gold.
My Twitter is about to unload of football tweets. First Jets game that I have free on Sunday. It's go time.
610 Sports Radio.
Enjoy all your favorite sports like never before at BetMGM. Sign up using promo code CTAP, CTAPP, and your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. When you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to a variety of parlay selection features, live betting options, player props, and daily boosted odds specials. I love those. And with BetMGM at your fingertips, every play and every game matter more than ever. Sign up today and use that promo code CTAP, CTAPP, and find out why nothing beats a win at the king of sportsbooks. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager and physically present in Kansas to bet. New customers offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
Season's greetings from Pizza Shop. This year we have more to offer than just our delicious Kansas City-style pizzas. For a limited time, when you buy them a gift card worth $25 or more, we'll give you a voucher for a free queen-size pizza. Visit pizzashop.com to find out the pizza shop nearest you.
If you have been diagnosed with prostate cancer, see the best in KC. Getting an opinion from the experts at KCUC can be crucial to ensure you are getting the best possible prostate cancer care. At Kansas City Urology Care, we are making it as easy as possible to do just that. Call 816-PCA-KCUC or visit kcuc.com. Trust the surgeons at KCUC who diagnose and treat the most prostate cancer in the region, who pioneered robotic prostate cancer surgery in KC, having done over 2,500 cases, and who has the only independent radiation treatment center in town, giving patients the best possible cancer treatment in the fastest, most convenient, and affordable manner. The world-class urologists and radiation oncologists at KCUC are here to help you and your family. Call us today at 816-PCA-KCUC. That's 816-PCA-KCUC to schedule a consultation, or visit kcuc.com. At KCUC, you see the best in KC.
I'm Dak Prescott. You know me from live TV.
And I'm a cowboy from that western you watch on demand. DirecTV brought us buckaroos together.
That's right, partner. Hey, is that a coconut?
Yep, this old ranch hand's rusting up some pina coladas.
Switch from Dish and get up to $300 in reward cards. Call 1-800-DIRECTV. Ends 1/5/23. Redemption required. New satellite customers only must submit Dish recent bill and use code SWITCH at checkout. 24-month agreement and equipment lease required. $19.95 activation. Early termination fee of $20 a month for each month remaining on agreement. Equipment non-return and additional fees apply. Restrictions apply.
We asked Google Fiber customers what they think about their internet speed.
If someone walked up to me and said, "How fast is Google Fiber?" I would say fast enough that I don't notice it.
Google Fiber has simplified our lives and the speed has been exceptional.
Google Fiber isn't just fast, it's crazy fast.
Into fast internet? Sign up for Google Fiber today at fiber.google.com. Actual Google Fiber customer compensated for testimonial. Customer experience may vary.
Well, guys, you did it again. Even though Christmas is on the same date every year, you got busy, and now it's crunch time. And you got nothing for her. Well, that's not exactly true. You got me. This is Gene at House of Diamonds, where there are 3 things we do better than anyone else. We have better diamonds at better prices than even the online guys. We have the most skilled and technologically advanced custom jewelry shop within 200 miles. And no one, I mean no one, personally takes care of last-minute shoppers like I do. Hey, until I opened House of Diamonds, that last-minute guy was me. So I get it. Come in and see me. I'll show you a collection of one-of-a-kind pendants, earrings, bracelets, and rings that will blow her away. She'll think you started working on this back in July. Fellow procrastinators, I've got your back. Come see me at House of Diamonds. House of Diamonds on the southeast corner of College and Quivira.
Hi, KC Tailgate Nation. It's Mitchell Schwartz, and this season I want you to try a twist at your tailgate by adding turkey to the menu. Turkey brings big flavor to the grill with tons of tasty options that your crew will gobble up. Smoked turkey wings, buffalo turkey dip, whole turkey tacos, and even turkey burnt ends. The possibilities are endless. Check out great recipes and register for the ultimate turkey tailgate prize pack at tailgatewithturkey.com. That's tailgatewithturkey.com.
Continued cloudy this afternoon with a high of 36.
Weather brought to you by Pfizer and BioNTech. This fall, there are now updated COVID-19 booster shots designed for recent Omicron variants. Learn more and schedule your updated booster at vaccines.gov.
This is a special notice to all U.S. taxpayers. It's good news for all Americans who owe back taxes to the IRS or state and struggling to pay them back. The IRS is now making it easier to settle delinquent tax problems through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative, due to the financial hardship many are facing in this current economic downturn. Qualifying for this program will settle your delinquent tax problem, end all collections, and may even reduce your back taxes by up to 99%. For this free information and to see if you qualify, call the hotline at the Tax Hardship Center by dialing 800-411-6406. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes and cannot afford to pay them, there's no need to worry. You may now qualify to settle your delinquent tax problem and save thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-411-6406. 800-411-6406. That's 800-411-6406.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motor Studios.
Hey, Kansas City, it's Travis Kelce. Don't miss my brother Patrick Mahomes and C-Dot every Monday at 2:15 right here on 610 Sports Radio. See you guys on Sunday.
KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, always live on the free Odyssey app. What's trending?
All right, let's check in on the hot topics trending.
Number one on what's trending, update on the injury front for the Kansas City Chiefs as they get set to welcome in Seattle on Saturday afternoon. Chris Jones expected to participate in today's practice. Mike Dana, Deion Bush, Colin Saunders, all out today with an illness. Remember, there's been some sickness going around. It seems
everywhere.
Whether it's at Arrowhead or just Kansas City in general. Also, Jody Fortson, still dealing with an elbow injury, will miss his second straight practice. That's one nobody's expecting him to practice probably the rest of the week, and then we'll check in next week on him. We do know that Blake Bell had his IR window activated, designated return window activated, by appearing at practice yesterday. So, we like our guy.
And
Jody.
Tony was a full participant yesterday.
That's my big thing with him right now is play a game, practice in full. Play a game, can you practice in full in multiple weeks? Right? That's the key for Tony. Not playing and then having a hamstring setback. So I like hearing that.
That's the first time he was a full participant in practice, obviously, since that injury. So that's big news for Tony as well. Next up on What's Trending, if you missed it late last night, Jeff Passan breaking the news that Carlos Correa will no longer be heading to the San Francisco Giants after a failed physical, but instead will be heading to the New York Mets on a 12-year, $315 million deal, which will make him one of the highest paid players in baseball. It will also top up the Mets' off-season spending to over $800 million in new contracts. Boy, what a difference Steve Cohen shows up to the Mets and all of a sudden going to make him one of the highest payrolls in all of baseball.
I'm jealous.
On the same day that Aaron Judge got named a captain for the Yankees. What a big deal. It's the last time since Jeter.
That's right.
I hate that's a headline. I hate
Jeter.
big market baseball teams. I have to hear about garbage like that. I don't care that
Jeter.
Judge is a captain. It doesn't mean anything. Of course, he got a lot of money.
I am
make him a captain.
Definitely jealous that Steve Cohen can just
cut checks for whatever amount of money he wants.
Just go buy a World Series. We'll see if it works.
He's going to try. Certainly making a hell of an effort at it. I'll give him that.
Next up on What's Trending, really heartbreaking news out of Pittsburgh. Hall of Fame running back Franco Harris passing away at the age of 72. And the reason why it's heartbreaking anytime, obviously, anybody pass away, but considering just days away from the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception, and they were going to have this huge ceremony. They're still going to have it, but they're going to have this huge ceremony Saturday night when the Steelers take on the Raiders, and he was going to have his number 32 jersey retired. His whole family was going to be there. They had all this planned. He was going to be able to be part of the ceremony, And so frankly, it just sucks. Like, that's awful. That's terrible. That to happen also so soon to having the accomplishment of his jersey being retired, that he's not going to be around to see that. So that sucks.
The Steelers are pretty picky about who they do that with, as most franchises are. But yeah, still just really sad news out of Pittsburgh. Next up on What's Trending, YouTube reportedly will pay $2.5 billion per year for a Sunday ticket. And that means no more DirecTV, which means good. I mean, more people access to this. Apple was pretty close on the deal reportedly about a week or two ago, but it sounds like YouTube will pay about the same as DirecTV, and it'll cost about the same going forward. But $2.5 billion per year heading over to YouTube TV.
More revenue for the NFL. More revenue for the
That's
NFL.
what they need.
Well, yeah, they're hurting, man. They are
just
hurting.
really struggling in the revenue department. The NFL.
Next up on What's Trending, K-State basketball, a middle of a afternoon game on Wednesday. Middle of the week, mid-afternoon, heading into the holiday weekend. They're playing at 1:30 today against Radford, right here on 610 Sports Radio. So that means we only got 25 minutes left. We're handing it off to K-State basketball pregame coverage.
There's only 25 minutes left to hit up Jed-Marshall-3 on Venmo. Send him like $5.
Yes.
Because he gets married on Friday. We want to send him a congratulations. But also get on Twitter and just tell Nick Schwartz congrats. Did anything happen in Germany? Not to our knowledge. Do we want to make him think that we think something could have happened in Germany? Yes, we do. So Nick_Schwartz, send him a congrats text. Maybe a champagne bottle, whatever. Make it as vague as possible.
Mm-hmm. We're just going to bombard his Twitter account. And yeah, Jed's had some great listeners send him some money for his potential honeymoon. We appreciate our listeners for doing that.
I have to work the 27th, so it's not really going to be...
No, future honeymoon, man.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, yeah. People are sending you money so that maybe in a couple months you can go somewhere.
Perfect. Send a lot.
Start your marriage off, as financially rich as possible.
Yeah, I haven't seen one from Cody Tapp or Alex Gold, but either way.
Well, that's a good point. Oh. Check the old Venmo, huh?
I think you might want to, something happened.
It's probably the internet. It's so cold. It's tough for it to.
I think it got sent, man. It's showing up on my phone, so I don't know.
I guess I had planned on sending you something when you were eventually going to have like the in-person thing because we're not invited to your wedding on Friday.
No.
That's a very small group of people.
I don't send gifts unless I'm invited to things. So
you're going to be invited in May.
And in May, I'll get you another gift. Since I sent it, it's just something's going on with
the cloud.
Someone says, Jed, it's pretty simple. If you want to make some quick money, multiple people said if you just say, "Merry Christmas, hope your Christmas parties are good," they will send you $5 right now on the spot. Right on the spot, man.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Wow! Won't cave to his morals. Won't sell out on the text line for money. Lastly, on What's Trending, Nick Foles has been named the starter on Monday night for the Indianapolis Colts, making him the third starter for this team this year. Replaced Matt Ryan after their epic collapse last weekend. But Nick Foles will start for the Colts up against the Chargers on Monday night.
Oh, Nick Foles. He's back, baby. That's what's trending here on Cody and Gold. Text line says, Jed went from thinking people at the beginning of the show would steal from him to now giving out his Venmo, sending lots of money.
Oh, I mean, I think we've all known this for a long time. I might have mentioned yesterday that I'm not a financially driven person, but we all have our price. I will, if someone's willing to just give me money, I will happily accept it.
Now, Jed has talked about taking all the money you give him and just betting on something today.
I'm using your gambling advice.
Well, don't put it all on the. I'm doing a small wager on the K-State game. I wouldn't put hundreds of dollars on the K-State game. They're playing Radford on a Wednesday afternoon.
On a Wednesday I put it on the under, baby.
That's my bet. My bet for the K-State game is the under, depending on the number you got it at. But it's a handful of dollars.
Are we driving the number down single-handedly this show?
Man.
Putting so much
money.
It
was my giant bet.
That's it. There's a lot of line movement now after those big bets.
Just us here, right here in Kansas City, slowly dragging that K-State versus Radford money line down.
Mm-hmm. So much so, Cody said he's going to go to a bank this afternoon.
Yeah, I not the way Chiefsaholic goes to the bank. I'm just going to the bank to get some money.
Oh, okay. Well, so is he. But yeah,
I'm going to tell them nothing but small bills.
That's a weird request. Okay.
Do you think it's a good idea to put it that
way?
way?
People are now giving Jed advice for marriage.
Marriage advice? Work together and communicate. Been married for almost 22 years.
Yeah, from the 816.
Jed, this will be your first marriage, correct?
As far as I'm aware, yeah.
Okay.
Wait, is it your future wife's first marriage as well?
Yes, as
Okay.
far as I'm aware.
As far as you're aware, it'd be nice to know that before, right?
Why? Will it matter? It's a little bit late in the game now.
Well,
What am I
it's
going to do?
definitely too late now. The wedding's in 2 days.
I just feel like I'd like to know. That's all.
I'm quite certain she has not been married before.
Cool. It doesn't matter. I mean, it'd been fine if she had.
No, it sounds like you were judging, man. You know, it sounds like you
No,
were
I
going to
don't care.
judge. Yeah.
My dad's been remarried.
Sounds like
my
you
mom
were
was
gonna-
remarried.
If Jen would have said yes,
I'm a
she
child
has.
of divorce. I'd have been like, oh, okay. I was just asking. I didn't know.
You're just curious. You're nosy.
Yeah, that's
looking
it.
down.
That's actually, truthfully, yeah, that's kind of it. That's the truth of it.
Oh man, oh man.
It's not outside, right? It's going to be so cold on Friday.
No, it's not outside. We at least had the foresight to recognize that, it's going to be December 23rd. So
I mean, if your wedding was outside, it honestly might have been the coldest wedding in Kansas City history.
Just like 20 degree, negative 20 wind chill.
there is talk about allegedly getting a picture outside, which I'm not super amped about.
You got to get an outdoor picture. Still.
No, you don't.
Yeah, with the Winter Wonderland, that's
get
a very, a December 23rd wedding, outside, some snow in the background, man, that's a good photo.
I wear a coat inside all the time during the show. Do you guys think that that's going to go over well?
Yeah, you take a
Just
photo.
one
It takes
photo.
5 minutes.
I'm not saying you have to make snow angels.
Have
just
you not been listening to the weather forecast? I could have frostbite in that time.
15
What do you do when you go outside and smoke?
Well, that's different. That's a necessity.
You do that
A
all the
picture
time.
isn't necessary.
Yeah, this is
I think if she wants it, it is.
No.
You have 15 minutes. I think they said 15 minutes frostbite could set in. So as long as you get the pictures done before the 15-minute mark.
Again, we're
you're
not saying you have
fine.
to make snow angels. Just stand outside for one photo.
I'm not doing it.
Someone says tell them not to get married. That's their advice. That's not good advice.
Again, also a little bit late in the game for that now.
Technically, no. I mean, you're not married yet.
From the 913, mother-in-laws have been married 7 times. You'd want to know, bro. 7 times.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a good question. At what point, Cody said it doesn't really matter.
Oh, I'm out after 2.
What's the number where you start to get a little concerned, though? If you, again, early in the
Oh,
process, and you're going on dates.
Like you're dating someone-
And you find out the person's like, yeah, I've been married 3 times
I think
before.
I think if you heard the number, I've already been married 2 times, you would have some very
I'll
serious.
be honest, probably out.
Random question.
One wouldn't throw you off. If someone said they've been married 1 time, I don't think you'd just be like, all right, let's shut this down, right?
You seem like a quitter at that point.
Yeah, one marriage, especially as you get older. I mean, at some point, we've talked about this.
it happens.
If you get into your late 30s, there's a chance the person has had, has kids or whatever. Like there's a chance that happens, right? There's a chance that she might already have kids. She might have been married a couple different times. So yeah, but yes, if it gets above 1, then it gets a little questionable.
For you, I think it probably depends on your age too, though. If you're 60 and someone said they've been married twice, I don't think you're
also
Not
once,
60.
Once you're also, if you're in your 60s, at that point, like, why even get married again at that point?
You think just be together and ride it out?
Yeah, like if you're already in your 60s and you've both been married before and you both have had kids, why even make it official at that point?
Yeah, just
roll
common
with it.
law.
Just roll with it.
Someone says just Photoshop your outside pictures.
I'm fine with that. There are outside pictures we've taken before. We can use those.
So, yeah, you don't want your wife to catch the flu on your wedding night.
That's why I've been wearing a mask around the office.
So, Cody's going to ruin your wedding.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I've been
because
wearing
he's
mine.
going to, I'm still waiting on that Venmo, Cody. But in general, yeah, I have a feeling that he's going to ruin it.
Someone says I'd be less concerned about the number of times she's been married. I'd be more about the number of times she's been a widow. There's something else going on.
You think like every person who's a widow's the black widow kind? Like I don't think that it works that way.
I think that they're probably
Yeah.
correlated. Since we only have a few minutes left in the show, guys,
yeah.
and we're getting into the holiday season and stuff like that, Alex, and Cody, I really wanted to know: are you guys going to bark for me in the last 10 minutes of the show?
Wow.
I'm not going to bark for you. Not going to bark.
You didn't even ask this morning when you came in where my dog's
Yeah,
at.
you forgot.
I didn't.
That's what happened with Nick. Eventually, he just stopped asking.
Well, it didn't seem like it seems like it's had the same amount of traction with you guys as it did with Nick. So
We're not really committed to barking, I guess, is the problem.
we need a new shtick. Do you think Dusty will bark tomorrow?
He might. Dusty'd probably do it for
Dusty
you. We
will.
can try tomorrow.
He's the werewolf. He'll howl. He's the dirty werewolf. He'll howl.
I don't know. if
Tough time.
I-
Tough time to be associating with other wolves.
Ooh.
It's a tough time.
Dusty's the dirty
tough time.
werewolf. You think he needs to drop it? I don't think he's dropping the dirty werewolf thing.
Well, now he can take the wolf crown.
I haven't seen Dusty around the office much recently either. Have you guys?
He was here last night, wasn't he?
Yeah, I don't
Tuesday-
know.
Well, I mean, I wasn't here, so I
Last
didn't
night
see
was
him.
Tuesday. I think he had a show last night, didn't he?
Probably.
Monday night, I think he had a show too.
But we were gone by then, so we didn't see him. Maybe he did it from home. Tomorrow he's going to have to come in the snow.
Yeah. Other people are going to be working too.
No one's going to be on the road tomorrow, dude. It's
well-
2 days, but it's like 3 days before Christmas.
Yeah, I
no
mean, the traffic.
No one's going to listen to this show tomorrow. Let's just establish that now. There'll be like 7 of you, and I appreciate the 7 of you.
Well, I'm not
I
even
do.
coming in then. If people aren't listening, then we'll just keep it in Fox Sports.
Oh, what's their midday show right now? Is it good?
Probably.
What's Fox Sports lineup?
Coward, I think, right?
Nobody wants to listen to Coward. I'll come in for you. I'll come in for you guys.
I love
It
how
is
you're
Colin
actually-
Coward.
I love how you're actually looking this up.
It's Dan
As
Patrick
if
show
it's a real
and then
option.
Coward.
I also love how Cody was telling people not to listen. Yeah,
Yeah.
just stay in, just
Look,
watch some
I
TV.
know I'm not here the next. I would still like people to listen to our show for a couple of days, even if I'm not here. That would still be good for both of us.
And
People are
as we talked
listening.
about, Alex, you're going to do the 4 hours via phone.
Yeah.
Gold's taking it off. He saw that weather and he's like, I'm not doing this. I'm not getting out of the house.
Again, for clarity, already had the next 2 days off. Has nothing to do with the weather. But I'll be honest, very happy that the two have coincided. Yeah.
You're going to be so pissed at 9:56 when you see a number just calling you time after time after time.
I'll
You're
answer.
like, dude, I don't know.
I'll answer, but I'm not going to say anything. I'll just leave it off. I'll just leave the phone on, and you can.
It's just
going to
be you in the background just potting
So
up
we
here
can
and there.
actually hear the dog bark. So we will get a bark.
You can hear the dog bark. You can hear me.
Gold yell at
screaming.
13-year-olds on Madden online.
Yeah, I'll be playing Madden, and some guy will be talking crap because I don't have a headset, and there'll be someone through the TV yelling and talking crap, and I'll be screaming back at nothing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Might be for good radio, honestly. Just a live check-in with Alex's day off in the snow. Wow. Okay. Well, let's at least try to do some sports talk before you leave, right?
I thought we did sports talk with what's
This
trending.
was sports talk, you know.
Which part?
This is all it's entertainment, man. You know.
Well, I mean, we did other parts. We did the let's get Jed some more money on Venmo, $2
Yeah,
at a
you want to talk
time.
about this offense?
I do.
And what maybe is making it as great as it is?
Do you think that this is exactly what they had envisioned when they built their offense this offseason? Because I do. They thought if every team is going to back off the ball 30-plus yards, the second they traded Tyreek, and they're like, all right, every team's going to back off 30-plus yards, what the hell are we going to do? And they thought, let's have 6 pass catchers we can trust, and we will spread it to everyone, and nobody will ever get us off the field. The fact that the Kansas City Chiefs, every single time they touch the ball, there's an 80% chance they're going to get a first down on you, tells you all you need to know. They are going to score on you, or they are going to convert first downs, and you are not going to get them off the field. Better than any team in the NFL is the exact plan I think they were trying to execute in the offseason. And it's working. I think it's very rare that you say, this is our plan, and now it's going exactly as we'd hoped it had.
We know they had to adjust based on how the AFC title game went, and some of it was just flat out personnel. Once they moved on from Tyreek Hill, I think they needed to get deeper at wide receiver. I think mission accomplished there, certainly. I think they also went in after a certain type of receiver. Juju Smith-Schuster and MVS are bigger receivers. They both can block. It's the first time probably since the Sammy Watkins days that they had receivers that are capable of that. We saw it play out even on the walk-off touchdown run from McKinnon. That was, yes, the O-line made a nice lane for him, but also further down the field, Juju Smith-Schuster had a nice block. I think that was part of the mindset here a little bit. Even if we're frustrated that they don't run enough, still they've got some receivers on the edge that can help them in that fast.
And he's Jerick McKinnon, the running back, as a receiver all the time, yeah.
But yeah, the question is, can you sustain long drives? The answer is yes. However, on the flip side, we know that might also be contributing still to why they're third worst in turnover differential. But I did think Jesse Newell over at the Star put this out. It's kind of interesting because they are bottom 3 turnover differential, 9 straight games with turnovers. You and I agree this is the biggest problem they have right now going into the postseason. At the same time, because of how long these drives are, the Chiefs are still better than anybody in the league when they get a first down on that drive in terms of the ratio of turning it over. 1 in 25 times they turn it over after they get the initial first down. They get a touchdown or first down on 80% still of their possessions there, which is nuts. It's better than anybody else in the league. Right behind them, the Eagles, the Bills, and the Bengals.
You know why I think it works is they didn't, despite the fact they're much closer to the line of scrimmage than they've ever been, they didn't lose the big play stuff because everyone's so open. Because of their depth and because of how many people they can throw to. So, for instance, we know that they are the number 1 team in the NFL in 20-plus yard plays. Defies logic. They lost the number 1 20-plus play wide receiver in the NFL. But they have 2 guys in the top 5 in yards after catch in the NFL, Travis Kelce and Jerick McKinnon, by the way, who is 5th in the NFL amongst essentially just stars.
Big time players.
Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Christian McCaffrey, Travis Kelce, and Jerick McKinnon. One of those names is not like the other. That might be 4 Hall of Famers and Jerick McKinnon. And when you go, and I know it's early for Jefferson or Christian McCaffrey, but those are some of the most elite talented players in the NFL. But they have 3 in the top 15. Juju Smith-Schuster is also in the top 15, and you have to remember that he missed time this year. Not a ton of time, but about a game and a half of time. Had he not, and he had a couple of dinged up injuries that cost him halves of games here or there. So if it weren't for those snaps, like you'd said, he'd probably be in the top 10. 3 of the top 10 wide receivers in YAC is because of depth. It's because if I asked you right now on 3rd and 5, how many players do you legitimately, like if they threw it to them on 3rd and 5, would you trust are probably getting the first down? Kelce, MVS, Juju Smith-Schuster, I might toss in Noah Gray. Jerick McKinnon. Noah Gray has been a reliable 3rd down threat lately. He's been a reliable offensive weapon for the Kansas City Chiefs.
He's improved quite a bit, to say the least.
I don't think he'd be my first choice, but if they're down to choice 6 and all of a sudden it's 3rd and 5, I mean, it's an option I trust. It's an option I trust more than DeMarcus Robinson.
Yeah, that was the key in the discussion after that title game was.
It all comes down to
him. Do you feel better that if I told you that what this year's 3, 4, 5, 6 options are in the offense, do you feel better about those options than a year ago? And the answer before the season, where I was kind of like, yeah, I think so, but we'll see. And it's all been confirmed as the season has gone on that, yeah, their 4th, 5th, 6th passing option you still feel better about than a season ago. And the big play stat's just nuts. They had more big plays than a season ago, and that was with Tyreek Hill on this team. They're doing it different. This is a credit to Mahomes, a huge credit to Andy Reid, and this offense as well, that they can adapt still better than anybody. There's frustrations along the way.
The turnovers are mostly, if they stop those, they would be the number one offense by a mile.
The turnovers, I still think at times they could lean on the run in a certain game where it seems like the other opponent cannot stop it, lean in it more. I think there's criticism to be had. But they are by far the best offense in football. And you laid out some of the numbers for why that is that. They're also still, even if they struggle on 3rd and 1, they still have the best 3rd down conversion rate in the NFL because they'll convert those 3rd and 9s. They'll convert those 3rd and 8s.
Better than any team in almost NFL history, by the way, the 3rd and longs. But that all goes back to the same thing. You would think that when they had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce on the same offense, that they would be better at converting 3rd and 9s than they are now. But they are better at it now than at any point with Tyreek Hill because of exactly what we were talking about. If you can't know for sure who they want to target on 3rd and 9, they are much harder to stop. If Jerick McKinnon can catch a screen and take it 14 yards, if Juju Smith-Schuster can run a 10-yard out route, if Travis Kelce can find a soft spot in the middle of the zone, if MVS can find himself 20 yards down the field, they've even found 3rd down conversions out of guys like Jody Fortson or Justin Watson. Because once you get further down the list, then Justin Watson all of a sudden has like the 3rd safety on him in a dime situation. They're really hard to predict because, one, they're just more adaptable than most teams, but they are much deeper wide receiver and just pass catching options than almost any team in the NFL. There are definitely teams with more weapons, or top-end weapons, right? We know Miami's skill position. We know who Cincinnati has on their roster. But when you start going down to person 7, which Kansas City uses, then you know that. Because that's the thing. Sky Moore is what, the 8th option on this team from a receiving yardage perspective? Noah Gray's on pace for 330 yards. So he's on pace to beat Sky Moore from a yardage perspective. Jerick McKinnon's going to beat him. Pacheco's been getting some more passes. Before you even get to their 2nd round wide receiver selection, you're going to get to 7 or 8 guys they might throw it to. That speaks to depth. The previous years, they were never anywhere close to that deep. And you know what I like? It is repeatable. You can build a roster this way every year. It's hard to build a roster around superstars because superstars are hard to find. It is easy to build a roster around a bunch of very good players or pretty good players.
And this will be an off-season conversation again, though. But are you able to go find guys like Juju, though, consistently? I don't know. Can you find the 3rd, 4th, 5th options? Yeah. Can you
MVS, Justin Watson, all those guys are findable every offseason.
But that's why the Juju conversation and how important it might be to bring him back, I think, is going to be a fun one to have throughout the offseason. Certainly if he goes and has a great postseason. K-State basketball, they're getting set to take on Radford in Manhattan.
We all got money on it?
Down to 15.5. The total under 136.5. K-State pregame coming up. I know you're going to bet all the money that listeners sent you.
Have a good Hanukkah, Gold. We'll see you in a few
Appreciate
days.
that, man. We'll see you guys next week. Jed, happy holidays to you, man.
Thank you. Happy holidays to you, Alex. I
K-State
would say
basketball.
Merry Christmas, but
Merry
you
Christmas.
don't celebrate
Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa.
Happy all of the holidays.